Hey, Prime members, you can listen to Crime and Sports early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Download the app today.
In the depths of an Atlanta forest, a clash between activists and authorities ends in tragedy. I'm Matthew Scher, and on my new podcast, We Came to the Forest, we expose the hidden truths behind a shootout that left one activist dead and countless lives forever changed. Binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest ad-free on Wondery Plus.
Welcome to Crime and Sports.
Yay!
Oh, yay indeed, yay indeed. Thank you, folks, so much for joining us this week. We are pumped. We are excited. We're I don't even know the word. What's the word? I'm jacked up right now. I'm floating like a bubble in the air. It's incredible. Thank you, folks, so much for joining us on another action-packed, wall-to-wall, crazy edition of Crime and Sports. That, as it's promised, is the way it is this week, because it's a wild, this is a crazy one.
Great.
This is it's brain damage sports again, which are always fun. And it's a guy who took full advantage of the brain damagedness of the brain damaged sports. Before we get into it, though, would like to thank everyone for their iTunes reviews this week. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for that. We've been saying it now for 120 weeks, but it's true. It remains the same now as it did 120 weeks ago. The iTunes reviews are huge for some reason in the algorithm of iTunes. Their funky chart algorithm. Yeah. So these are important. So if you have not done it yet, please get on iTunes. Give us 5 stars. Tell us you're following instructions, following directions. It doesn't matter what you write. It's really not for our ego. It's just for business. Mm-hmm. So it would be extremely helpful if you could do that. If you want to be a bigger superstar, you can do that, and a lot of people have, and these are our producers and our executive producers, are basically our heroes, our best friends. We're going to have a long list of them at the end of the show, and if you'd like to become one of them, very simple way you can do that. 2 ways, as a matter of fact. You can go to patreon.com/crimeinsports, and you can make a donation there, or you can go to PayPal and make a one-time donation using our email address, crimeinsports@gmail.com.
And I got double deep this week.
Definitely.
It's your birthday.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Thank you guys so much. And thank you. I appreciate all the happy birthdays and all that. Thank you guys so much for all that. If you want to find the show further, there's the email address we just gave you. Also, you can find us at Crime and Sports on Twitter and Facebook and all that stuff. So find us there. If you want to go into all of it, you can go to the website, shutupandgivememurder.com. And you can find all of the stuff there, all of our tour dates, and you can links to merchandise if you want to get some cool Crime and Sports or Small Town Murder t-shirts or mugs or anything like that. That's the place to do it.
We'll take it.
New stuff up this week, by the way, as a matter of fact. But enough of that, Jimmy. I mean, we wanted to buzz through the top of the show quickly because it's a crazy episode.
Great.
It's one of those ones where... It's one of those ones I've been saving for a while.
Oh, that's nice.
I have a handful, not even a handful. It's a pretty good quiver full of these like kind of more famous guys who are kind of just legendary crazy. Yeah. You know, there's your Lawrence Taylors out there, and everybody's been asking me for him. And don't worry, we'll get there. You can hear me fawn over someone for 2 hours and slip their crimes in. Also, I don't care what he did. Goddammit. So. There's guys like that everybody asks for all the time. Your big guys, and they're all coming up because we're going to run out of guys. So we're starting to layer them in now. As you've seen, there's been some big people lately that you've heard of more famous people, and we're going to continue this week with a famous person. Well, not famous if you're not into the sport, I guess, but in this sport, he's very, very famous. It is Robert Allen Probert, Bob Probert.
Oh, Jesus!
You know Bob Probert, right?
I do,
You've heard
Proby.
of him. You got to know him if you.
We've talked about him in several episodes.
Every episode where we have a hockey episode where a guy was a fighter, he fought Bob Probert 30 times. That's every single guy. Basically, Bob Probert has fought every man in the United States and Canada at least twice each. Not just that play hockey, just every man. Every man, woman, and child. He's fought them all twice over.
Somebody gave us Proby shirts in Chicago.
Yes, that's
and
cool
I wore one to. I wore it going down when I bought the nutsack weed for you. I was wearing that shirt on Broadway in Nashville and got so many compliments. I've heard of the man a handful of times on this show. I didn't watch that much hockey. I wouldn't have any idea.
I wasn't a huge hockey fan, but when I was watching hockey some. I had a lot of friends that played hockey and stuff. Was in the like 93, 94, 95 era when he was still playing, and when NHL 93 hockey for Sega Genesis was out, and that was a game you could still fight on, and Bob Probert was the best fighter. Well, it was him, McSorley. There was a few, but I mean, he was in the top 5 fighters in the game. He was badass. So you played with the Red Wings back then, and you had Bob Probert pound people into pound Wayne Gretzky into a bloody little mess with his hands and feet.
So many guys drinking Tennessee beer giving me thumbs up with that fucking shirt on. I was like, thanks. I don't know who the fuck he is.
Well, in Tennessee, they love a white guy who punched someone in the face at random. They love that down there. So Bob Probert, date of birth, he's born all the way back June 5th, 1965. He is born in Windsor, Ontario, Canada. He's a hockey player. What do you want?
That's where they're born and bred.
That's where you make hockey players, is in Windsor, Ontario, Canada.
Where do you find TVs, James? Where are they made?
Yeah, they're
right
Japan,
there in Japan.
And you got hockey players in Canada. Now it's like Russia and Eastern Europe a lot too. But back then you couldn't get the Russians and Eastern Europeans. So what'd you get? Big
Canadians.
Big, hairy, angry, drunken Canadians. Hopped up on Labatt's in anger.
The only ones that don't apologize for everything. They play hockey.
Yeah, they do. He probably still does. He'll probably pound you into the ground. He'll be like, hey, sorry about that.
Sorry about that, mate.
Sorry,
mate, what?
Mate.
What am I doing?
Jimmy's British Canadian, man. Just got here, mate. Hey,
born and bred in Canada.
It's telling
mate.
me to say "hey" all the time. Hey,
I'm mixing Australian and British and.
That's
dumb.
hilarious. Well, he's a big Canadian. He grows up to be 6'3", 225,
That's a monster.
which is real big in hockey for back then, especially when he started playing in the 80s. That's a big son of a bitch coming down the ice at you. Nowadays, guys are big, but back then guys weren't that big, just in general. He shoots. He's a lefty. It's so weird. Hockey's a weird sport in that. And I know this from guys who played hockey. So many guys who are right-handed shoot lefty.
Really?
It's still weird. I don't understand why.
Is it because there's not very many of them? They do it on purpose?
I don't know what it is.
They're ambidextrous.
No, it's not even a matter of ambidextrous. They all say they like it, but I don't understand it. But I know this is like a common thing in hockey. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I know
do that on purpose?
On purpose. I know a couple people who play golf that way, too.
Really?
It's weird. I don't understand it. But hockey, and I don't know, maybe it's the swing. I have no idea.
I'd look like such a dipshit trying to swing a golf club with my left hand.
Yeah, hockey stick's not that hard because the motion is pretty.
It's pretty
clean.
fluid and the same.
Well, it's because you keep your back arm kind of stiff, so it's not like baseball where you can look real goofy. There's a lot to go wrong in the whole thing. Hockey's like keep all this steady and stiff and move this. It's a different deal here.
We're like shoving the puck more than you're really. Taking like an action, like with baseball,
slap
you have
shot,
to
you're slapping.
Yeah,
you're
I
hitting
suppose.
it hard,
yeah.
and then there's a wrist shot.
But
where
with
you're
baseball, you've really got to pay attention to where you're hitting on the ball. Like the whole point of baseball is to have a strategic bat. Like you've got a point in where you're going with the bat. Not every time you're swinging for the fucking fence.
No,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes you're trying to lay it down a bunt.
You're looking to take it the other way. Lay it over the second baseman's head over there.
Right over the fucking shortstop.
Pull a Derek Jeter. Bloop it over the second baseman's head. Well, this guy here, he's a left wing in hockey, always. He said it's weird, too. He has a motorcycle thing. Like, he likes motorcycles from the time he's a kid.
I like him already.
You like him? Yeah. He's a fun guy. That's the thing. He's just kind of an asshole at the same time. Yeah. He said his father had one since he was a kid. His father was a member of the Windsor Police Department there, and he was like a motorcycle cop for the Windsor Police Department. A motorcycle cop in Canada, where it's warm, 22 days out of the year. So the rest of it, you got to be a hard son of a bitch. He comes home with icicles on his face. It's an angry man.
The cops on motorcycles are typically, historically, complete fucking dicks.
Well, it's been the 60s, too. A motorcycle was like an outlaw thing to do. That wasn't like now. Every yuppie father who has like, there's my SUV and there's my Harley. Like they have but back then, that wasn't, you didn't like put on a polo shirt and get on your Harley back then. That was, you get stabbed.
Well, a Harley back then, too, you had to work on the goddamn thing.
You had to know how to work on it because it would
break down
every 5 minutes. Yeah, that was the other problem.
So yuppies can't ride them back then.
No, and it was just, that was a different thing. Like if you rode a motorcycle, that was like having a tattoo in 1965. It was like, he's got a tattoo on his arm. Like, he must be either in the Navy or he killed 3 people.
Either way, he's seen some shit.
Only way. Either way. He said his dad would come home, take him for rides on the Harley, him and his brother. He also said his dad got him into hockey. His dad, Al. He said
his name was Al.
Al Probert. How you doing? I'm Al Probert. I know I'm from Windsor, but this is how I fucking talk. You got a problem?
That Al Probert is a bad man.
Big Al Probert. Yeah, good to see you.
You bet.
Big Al Probert sounds like he runs like some kind of like discount like sprinkler repair center downtown.
But that's just the front, babe.
Al Probert, sprinkler repair and replacement parts. Come on down here. You sprinkler mill, it's a little messed up, shooting in the wrong direction. Al Probert's got you covered.
I had a hole dug anyway, so I put some fucking sprinklers in it.
So I put sprinklers in it, and I said, hey, I could make a living on this. This ain't bad. So he says he doesn't know how his parents met. Apparently it wasn't a big romantic love story.
Surprise.
Here. He doesn't.
I could probably spoil the romantic thoughts for him. Dad's a motorcycle guy named Al Probert.
Motorcycle cop. He probably pulled her over.
Right.
Said,
she took it in the ass, and he said, I'll marry you.
Tell you what, sweetheart, there's a ticket here.
Or you can take care of the kid.
Maybe there's not a ticket here. What do you say we talk about this, sweetheart, huh?
Look at that. You're really good at that. Want to get married?
Hey.
That's how it works.
Want to get married in Canada? This is Canada. That's how it is. I pull you over.
Right.
We're married now.
Yeah.
Sorry. That's it. It's a big country. Not a lot of people here. So
you chose to make the ticket disappear.
You find someone. It turns out they're not a moose, and you marry them. That's how it is. You see a car driving. You go, might be a moose driving, and we don't know. It's Canada. Anything could happen. And then you go, all right, no, it's a person.
Right.
It's a human. It's a female human.
And I'm going to marry it.
All right then. She's not bad. So he said that his dad was 36 when he was born. So his parents were older. His dad was a little older than his mom.
I'm an idiot.
His dad was older.
I just heard you say his dad was 36 when he was born, and I was like, that's a big baby.
His dad was 36 when he was born. That's a big baby.
Right.
Yeah.
How did he stay in there?
Wow.
I realized there's no logic to why I thought that.
His dad came out with a driver's license.
Like, what?
And a leather jacket and a mortgage.
I'm an idiot.
It's a boy, and he's got a mortgage. It's got 27 years left on it.
He's probably some Harry's razors.
And a very good sprinkler repair business. He's got a good idea. I'm going to...
Get him some Harry's razors. He's got a hairy back already.
He's going to need it. It's bad here. He said his dad's parents were from England, which makes it even stranger.
Yeah.
His dad,
so I nailed it.
So his dad's, well, there you go. Well, his dad's like this son of English people, but he's like a motorcycle cop, and it's a very strange dynamic here. Yeah. He loves his grandfather, though, Bob does. His grandfather's name was Jack, and he loved him. He says, later on, spoiler alert, he writes a book, and it's written like a 14-year-old kid with brain damage wrote a book like that's, and it's written with a ghostwriter and everything, but you have to use his words also. Right. And he writes these short sentences like when you give a second grader an assignment. It's like, I went to the store. They had Apple Jacks. Right. I bought the Apple Jacks. I had a bowl of Apple Jacks. Like there's, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, that's awesome.
He says, quote, this is his thing. Dad's parents were from England, period. My grandfather's name was Jack, period. He was awesome, period.
That's it. That's how the whole book goes.
That's the fucking book, man. That's the book.
That's awful.
It's fucking amazing. He's talking about crazy shit. You're like, a child wrote this, a child that did a lot of drugs and booze and fought a lot and is a crazy person.
A man-child.
A man-child wrote this. That's exactly what this guy is. I'll tell you later. He reminds me of a couple of people here. But he said he used to spend a lot of time at his grandfather's house with Jack there, having sleepovers and things like that. He and his older brother Norm, not Jack's older brother Norm, his grandfather Jack and his older brother Norm played lacrosse. It was an over 82 lacrosse league. They both went out there.
We have to be real specific now.
Well, if his dad was born at 36, his grandfather and his brother might be playing fucking lacrosse for all we know. We don't know. And his dad was 36. His grandfather was older. Man, that lacrosse league is you got to keep the medics on hand.
It's a motherfucker.
5 ambulances just waiting by with stretchers.
Jesus.
Holy shit! But Bob and his brother Norm, to be specific here, played lacrosse together, and the grandfather Jack was very, very supportive of this lacrosse, and this was at a very young age. We're talking 5, 6, 7 years old.
Really?
Yeah, they were playing lacrosse, and I said that his grandfather Jack always went to the games and that sort of thing. His grandfather ended up dying though, and so that was tough on him when he was, I believe, 8 years old. His grandfather died, and he made a big deal out of not crying at the funeral, he said, to make a big show of how tough he was, that sort of shit.
All right.
That sort of thing here. He's got an interesting relationship with his dad. And it makes sense for his later on life. He said his dad had a lot of drive, and he was a very tough kind of guy, in his own words. And in his own words, it was, quote, "My dad had drive, period. He was tough, period." That's exactly what the fucking thing. It's exactly what he said. Not my dad was tough, and his drive showed his dad. No, none of that shit. Just my dad had drive, period. He was tough, period. He's just dictating, and someone's just writing it down word for word, and then a publisher printed it and put it out.
His thoughts are in 5-word barrages.
That's it. Yeah.
That's all he can compose.
I like turkey sandwiches. Did you see the duck out there? Period. Trees are green, period.
Unbelievable.
The sun is bright today, period. My car is blue, period. Like, the fuck is happening?
He's like the fucking janitor in Billy Madison.
That's what he had.
Miss Slippy's car is green.
That's kind of, but he didn't write a book, thankfully, which was that wasn't part of Billy Madison. Oh, your novel came out. Excellent. Your memoirs, perfect. Jesus Christ.
Memoirs of a janitor. Not that, like, janitor is, like, a shitty job to have. I mean, obviously it sucks, but, like, anybody that does it...
No one wants to do it, but there's no shame in it.
None at all.
You make a living, That's
that
great.
There's the pool for it is real small. The reason I know that is because my high school janitor had polio, for fuck's sake. If he's the guy that beat you out of that job and you're able-bodied...
Well, it doesn't take that much. We're like, we'll give it to him.
Right.
The kids don't need it that clean. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
He'll scrub as good as he can.
It's okay.
He had one leg shorter than the other. It was fucked up.
The bathroom's always going to smell like piss. Always. We're not going to fix that. So,
and I believe he was a convicted sex offender.
Give the polio guy.
It worked out great.
Well, that's the perfect place to hire one at a school, obviously, back then. That's when we were kids. It was like, well, maybe being around the kids will straighten them out. That's what they would say. Like, what? What's going on here? I wonder why half of us got molested. Jesus Christ.
It's like the principal was, the hiring principal was like, I'm going to treat him like I would treat a child. And if I caught a kid smoking cigarettes, I'd force him to smoke a whole pack.
Yeah.
Like he's daring
put him right in the middle.
He fucked a kid once, just once. I'm going to make him fuck all of them.
Well, it's called immersion therapy. We're going to immerse him in kids, and it's going to be, if he can get past that, then he's cured at that point, is the way it is, I think. That's the fucked up part. Now, everybody thinks their kid is getting molested and is so fearful of it, which, nobody wants their kid to get molested. Right. But now there's so much less opportunity for your kid to be molested than when we were kids, when no one thought for a second that you got molested.
But every kid was molested.
But everybody was molested because they hired sex offenders at schools and shit like that, and it was fine.
Like the one guy that you would expect to be doing it too.
Yeah.
And sure enough.
And that's the guy. He said his dad was tough on him. He said his dad was always telling him to toughen up and be strong and not show any weaknesses. He said his dad was in the Army for a while, and he was a motorcycle cop. His dad's a tough Canadian son of a bitch, you know what I mean? He's just
tough as Canadians come.
As tough as which these hockey-playing Canadians with a head full of Labatt, you'll fuck with those guys. You could hit them with a fucking brick, and I don't think it's going to affect them at all. I mean, they've been playing hockey their whole lives. The brain damage is thick like scar tissue at this point. Sorry, Canada. Well, yeah, that's the way it is.
I'm going back and forth on if his dad's tough or not. Like being from Britain, maybe not.
He's not from Britain. His parents are from Britain.
Right. But was he born in Canada?
No, he was born in Canada.
See, that's okay.
He's
I got
a Canadian,
you.
yeah.
And his parents are British, so it's kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
His parents have raised
that's what
him.
I was saying. The dichotomy of his
weird.
parents like being maybe proper British people and him, firing up the Harley. But he went to the Army. He was transferred to Germany. Did some served over there. He got out of the Army. He went right into the police force type of thing. His dad was a big guy, too, same as him. His grandfather, Jack, was very small, which was weird. His grandparents were small people, and they had his dad, who was 6'3", 220. It was like my parents.
Right.
My dad's 5'10", my mom's 5'4". Right. Nobody in my
family
saw.
5'10"?
My dad's 5'10".
That's how fucking short I am.
Me and then my brother, too.
He seems big to me.
Yeah, and my brother, too.
He's enormous.
He's fucking the same. He's an inch shorter than me or something.
Is he?
He's like an inch shorter than me. Yeah. So, I mean,
but he's just wide too.
Yeah,
so he seems much bigger.
Yeah. That's true. It's a good point. But he grew up in Windsor.
Yeah.
He said on a quiet street in a small brick house. Okay. So a nice upbringing. That seems like a idyllic Canadian small street with a brick house there.
And a public servant father.
a public servant father. He played street hockey with his friends, that sort of thing. He said his street was like a cul-de-sac, so they'd just set the goal up down at the end of the cul-de-sac, and they could play all day long, which, I mean, if you're in Canada, what more can you ask for, really?
Perfect breeding ground for a well-rounded citizen.
I would say
Sounds
so.
like it.
Well-rounded, maybe not, because then he talks about his schoolwork and how he was in school. And let's just say he's not well-rounded, I wouldn't say, especially in the education department. Anything that takes effort, that doesn't... Anything that takes effort that's not hockey or fighting, really not. He's kind of averse to it, I got to be honest with you.
So he's round like an egg.
Yes, exactly. Not well-rounded. He's well kind of ovaled, smushed down a little.
Kind of pointed at the top.
Yeah. He says that he was not very good in school, but this is his sentences in his book. Quote, I was not very good in school, but I could figure things out. I liked that, period. Then I liked tools and stuff, period.
Fuck does that even mean?
I like tools and stuff.
So you didn't like math unless there was a protractor involved?
Apparently,
what
he only liked tools. He said that he talks about this big thing about being in the second grade, and a teacher turned on an electric fan and held up a piece of paper and asked, how many think the fan is going to blow this paper across my desk? Everybody raised their hand except him. And he said, then the teacher said, so who thinks the fan is going to suck the paper in? And he said that he was the only one who knew that it was. But he didn't like to sit in classrooms, and he couldn't remember anything that he read, had no reading comprehension. And later on, he finds out that he's hardcore ADHD.
Perfect.
Which makes a lot of sense. But in Canada in 1973, I don't know how much they really paid attention to that. No, they were just like, hey, he didn't play enough hockey last night. They'd call your parents and be like, after school, he's got to play more hockey. I'm sorry. You got to get him out there, burn this energy off, just make him play hockey. That's the way it is.
So
which is really the cure for anything. If you have lupus up there, they're like, well, you got to put a hockey stick in his hand.
It's kind of the same way.
I mean, that's what it is.
Here, too.
He's lazy. It's just put him in the goal if he can't move. I don't know.
Yeah, it's true.
Just stick him in there.
So was it his ADHD that figured out that the fan was going the opposite way? He could see that? Or?
He said he had weird smarts. He's trying to say that he wasn't an idiot, basically. This is his way of saying, look, I wasn't a moron, just to let you know. He said, though, he started playing hockey when he was 4, got into an organized league when he was 5.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's how you get into hockey. You can't start playing hockey when you're 15. Right. It's not a sport basketball. Look at Keem Olajuwon was a great soccer goalie, and they're like, okay, you're 7 foot tall, put this in there.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Right.
Football, you can take a guy that's never played football. If he's a great athlete, and if it's not a skill position, if it's not quarterback or something, or center or something, you can teach him to play anything. You can just
as long as there's some sort of athletic in the kid.
I mean, if they're an athlete, you can take an Olympic sprinter, you can make him a kick returner, catch this football, and then run this way.
Go.
Yeah,
right.
There's a story I heard about defensive linemen. Basically can be they can have an IQ of 12. You can put a stalk of celery on the defensive line if he weighs 320 pounds. And he talked about a guy, I wouldn't mention his name, this coach, but he talked about a guy who was so stupid that if you're a defensive tackle, basically most of the plays are just right or left.
Yeah.
You just have to know whether you're going right or left.
Yeah.
So you don't have to know what everyone else is doing, if you're an offensive lineman or a quarterback.
You don't even know which assignment is yours. You just go
right
that way
left.
and push down.
You're that hole. Right. That's it. And this guy was so stupid. That was so hard. That was too hard for him because he couldn't remember which way right and left was. They had to write R and L on his shoes.
Holy
So before
fuck.
the play, he would look down at his shoes to know which direction he was fucking going.
My Christ.
And he'd be like, oh, I'm going to go there. I'm going this way. And then he'd fucking go that way. I was like, wow. And this guy played in the league for 10 years.
I want to know who the fuck that is. So bad.
So bad, right? Played in the league for 10 years, made millions upon millions of dollars, doesn't know which way right and left is. So... Crazy.
Very Dexter Manley.
Very Dexter Manley, yeah. Well, Dexter wasn't a moron. He just couldn't read.
Yeah.
He was...
or write.
Or write. Or do a lot of other things, really. But,
He's a Dextard.
He's a Dextard, as we know from that. That's his license plate. So he said he'd go down to the local rink with his dad. He said he loved it. He played forward at first. He was a left winger. He played left wing forever, and he liked it because he said he would switch and play right wing, but he was a left-hand shot, so it was kind of weird.
Right.
Yeah, so he said he never played center, never played defense. He did say he liked his dad a lot. He didn't say that his dad was a horrible person. I think just the time back then, it was your dad comes home, tells you to toughen up. Yeah. He's a Harley riding he's a motorcycle cop in Canada that likes hockey a lot. Right. It was in the Army. Toughen up, you little. Yeah, that's just what it is. So he said his dad didn't smoke. His dad just would have some beers after work. He said his dad wasn't even a big boozer. He said he'd go down to have a few pints with his friends and, that sort of thing.
Get a buzz on and come home.
Get a buzz on. But his dad also, this is what I mean. I don't know how much you can turn this off from like if you're a cop on the streets till you get home, maybe you can just turn it off. I'm not sure. But he talks about his dad in this way. He says his dad was an old school cop, period. Then he says... This next sentence is amazing. This is like Reno 911 here. Yeah. He says, quote, he applied street justice with his nightstick.
Holy shit.
That sounds scary. Yeah. That's, little stick time, Garcia style. That's
new nightstick goofing.
Yeah, new nightstick goofing. Little stick time. That's...
Nightstick goofing.
A little new boot goof. He said he had a reputation around town.
Yeah.
He said he would remember his dad coming home after being in fights, breaking up bar brawls and all that sort of shit. He said he thought that was the coolest Bob did. He's like, look at Dad coming home with, cuts and scrapes and
he broke up a fight.
Kicking some ass. He's
That's
like,
awesome.
this is great. He said if he didn't get into hockey, maybe he would have been a cop at that point.
Yeah.
But don't worry, he'll spend enough time with the cops to pretty much they should just get a paycheck.
Honorary guy.
At least ask for a badge, that sort of thing here. He said,
your own set of cuffs. That way when we show up, we'll just
slap them on.
Just put them on yourself.
Listen, Bob, it's time again. And he's like, fuck, all right, fine. Jesus. Hold on, let me finish what I'm doing here. He said that when he was playing kind of like Little League hockey, basically. It's midget hockey, they called it back then. I'm sure they don't call it that now.
Probably
maybe not. Maybe they do. I'm not sure.
Who knows? How heartless are they?
So he said between the ages of 10 and 13, he was always kind of the best player on the team. He said he was a foot taller than most of the people. He's one of these early puberty guys.
Yeah.
I feel like had a beard when he was 11.
All right.
You know those kids in the fifth grade.
Yeah.
You're like, Jesus.
The first kid with armpit hair.
I was going to say, how much armpit hair does this guy have?
There's a 10-year-old on my son's swim team who has armpit hair, and we were driving home, and my son goes, when do you hit puberty, Dad?
Not yet.
And I was like, I don't know why. I'm like, it depends. It's different from person to person.
Yeah.
Why? He goes, why does Joel have armpit hair? And I go,
do you want armpit hair?
I don't know, man.
But boys want armpit hair though. They're they'll look for them under a microscope.
Yeah.
It's a weird
thing. It's a weird thing.
Yeah, it's fucking nuts. Look, Dan Cummins has that joke about his kid looking for a pube, and you're like, that's very true.
I told him, just be happy, son, because that armpit hair is probably why you just beat him.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
he's swimming, son.
He's distracted.
Right.
The aerodynamics
slows you down.
And he's thinking about girls. He's not thinking about this. You're thinking about this. He said that he's bigger than all these kids, so he was always one of the better kids on the team here. He said that he'd try to, and this I can relate to, he wore size 13 shoes when he was a kid, so he would try to buy smaller size shoes and just stuff into them so his feet didn't look so big.
Wow.
Which I understand that.
You did that too?
Not now, but I wore size 13 shoes, and I have since I was 13, 14 years old.
Right,
and
now you wear 13.
Yeah.
And
so
you've worn it for 30 years.
Your feet kind of stop growing. So it's it's a weird 30 years. Gee, what
almost.
I thought you said I did math
13.
wrong. Not quite that wrong. Not quite
almost,
that long,
right.
but still.
Almost.
Anyway, so he says now he doesn't care, obviously. His older brother played hockey with him all the way up until his brother was drafted by the Windsor Spitfires, which is they call it it's one of the junior hockey teams, but it's one of the pro. We've gone over this in all the hockey episodes. They have kind of these like pro junior league teams up there because you can get people to watch minor league hockey in Canada because they fucking love it.
They watch it so much they're watching midgets play. That's
bananas.
Although I would watch that.
That I would watch on skates.
I'm in.
That sounds entertaining.
I want to see that fight.
Never mind wrestling. That would be that was entertaining back in the day. But no, on the
boxing,
ice. On the ice is good.
That's where it's at.
Yeah. So he said his brother here didn't get a lot of playing time when he was there. There was a lot of good players. His brother also Now they talk about, he just says his brother kind of didn't get to play that much, and then kind of his brother only played the 1 year on the team. They released him. What he doesn't really talk about much in the book is that his brother was a complete disaster and drank a shitload and wrecked a car and did all sorts of shit that caused them to not need him anymore because he wasn't really worth the trouble.
Sabotaged his own shit.
He did. So that was the thing. Bob says that the first time he drank, he was 14. He said his family went to a family party in Michigan, and his dad brought a cooler of beer home with them, and it was all American beer in cans that he didn't have before, and it was Schlitz and Budweiser and Pabst Blue Ribbon, so terrible cheap American beer in cans. He said so he was putting them in the fridge, and he said he was thinking, quote, I wonder what one of these tastes like. So he said he drank one and nothing happened, so then he drank another and another. He's 14. He said, after drinking about 5 of them, I started getting a buzz.
Yeah.
5?
Yeah. Your first time?
Wow.
5 beers.
Damn, if I drank 5 beers now, I'd be hammered.
The first time I drank beers, I had, like, plural, I had 3.
Now,
and I was like, I can't believe people drink a case of this. This is nuts.
Granted, he is Canadian, which means his alcohol is more resilient to lower blood or lower alcohol contents of the American beer, we'll say. Maybe if he gave him, like, 4 Molson Ices, he would have been a little more fucked up.
A couple of those IPAs.
Yeah, something like that, which is basically just Canadian beer. So he said... He said then the buzz started kicking in, and he said he was like, quote, wow, this is pretty neat. That was his thought process, yeah. But he said he had to, he went and kind of went into his bedroom because he knew he was shit-faced. He didn't want anybody to catch him.
Spun.
Yeah. He said he he fell asleep and threw up all over himself during the night.
Oh, no.
Which is bad. His mother came to wake him up in the morning, and she said, what's wrong with you? What's going on?
Why does it smell like Pabst in here?
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So what he did was sometimes, I guess he's kind of iffy with fish. He gets like weird reactions to fish and always did. So he said he had some tuna and blamed it on that.
Yeah.
Did not say, well, I was hammered.
Right.
Had a bunch of those Pabsts from the fridge, and those are nasty.
I mixed Pabst, Schlitz, and Budweiser. I had a shitload of it.
That's right. He said he had his friend's house the night before. They put tuna in their mac and cheese, and that just that fucked them all up there.
In all fairness, I agree. That's disgusting.
That is disgusting. He knows how to get away with shit, and he knows how to do shit like that. He talks about at this point when he becomes like a minor league hockey player, he starts making fake IDs for everyone because he joins the Windsor Junior Spitfires team also the next year. And he talks about how this was great for him because he learned in school, he figured out in school when he was in high school how to make fake IDs.
Yeah.
So back then, wasn't like now. It's not on a computer. They don't swipe it. It was just if you had like a laminator, you could put some shit together. You
take somebody's ID, you put his picture on it and laminate.
Yeah, he would cut out a little thing and put it out. He just put out the dates, and it wasn't that hard back then. You could do it. It sounded great to be a young person back then. So he said they would drink, and he said they quote, would buy as much booze as we wanted and go to all the bars. I was 17, and I just liked to always be stoned or drunk. I never cracked a book at school. By the time I was 18, I was drinking 12 beers a night, but I could go to 16 without passing out. It was cool.
Holy shit.
It was cool, man.
That is way cool. I'm impressed. 17,
and he's pounding at least a 12-pack a night.
Wow.
So he's an old Harley riding pro at this point. You know what I mean? Like that's getting seasoned at a young age.
I don't think I knew anybody in high school that could drink like that.
Even for Canada.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot of beer. Even for Canada, that's a lot of beer.
Even for Russia, Australia, anywhere where they drink heavy, that's a lot of fucking beer.
That's a lot of beer.
Germany, they drink heavy. That's a lot.
That's still 12, I feel like at 17 is a lot.
It's too much.
And I could go to 16 without passing out. I like how he knew his exact pass-out threshold. Right. Like, well, 15, if I have one more, I'm going to fucking fall down, and I'm not going to remember any of this.
I've had 17 twice and had dicks drawn on my face.
Well,
I've done it.
So the 81-82 hockey season, he's 16 years old and playing with the Windsor club that we mentioned before. He plays 55 games for them that year, has 60 goals and 40 assists in 55 games. That's fucking dominating.
That's bizarre. That's unheard of.
That's like some Gretzky shit.
That's a lot of goals.
Crushing in 55 gets more than a goal a game.
Right, more goals than games.
That's how good he was for that level. He was so good, and only 40 penalty minutes that year.
Okay,
that's pretty average for 55 games. That's not bad at all. Oh, boy, will he have a lot of penalty minutes. We'll talk about all that. He's then the 95th overall pick in the 1982 OHL Priority Selection Draft, which is, I believe, Ontario Hockey League.
Okay.
It's a minor league hockey, whatever. He's selected by Brantford in the 7th round. It's the Brantford Alexanders. It's a major junior team. He said that he was nervous. He went to the orientation camp, and he said all the guys were so clean cut. Yeah. He said, kind of like altar boys, so I started to get worried. But after the parents disappeared, we had this huge bonfire and downed several cases of beer. So it was a relief. Oh, good. Everyone here's a drunk, too. Right. Excellent. Perfect. I thought I would not have to be an alcoholic.
They just shave their faces and cut their hair, but they're same as me.
Yeah, that's Jesus Christ, man. Let's do it in their own words about his drinking. It'll include the 16, going to 16 without passing out line, because it should all be encompassed in its original quote. In their own words, quote, I guess I would say I was an alcoholic by then. When we first started buying beer, we would split a case between 4 of us, and then they came out with the 18-pack, so we'd split that between 2 of us. Then we'd split a 2-4 between 2 of us. So by the time I was 18, I was drinking 12 beers a night, but I could go to 16 without passing out.
That's so much.
He said it was usually a competition among him and his friends to see who could drink the most.
Of course.
He said he'd always win because he was big and he was already over 200 pounds and 6'3" when he was 17.
Proby, that's a very interesting comment. That it was a contest to see who could drink the most. Like, most. What's the other contest? You know what I mean? When it comes to drinking, what's the other contest?
I don't know what that would be. Yeah, what would be the other?
Who can drink the least? That's
slowest.
Stupid, right? That's dumb.
I can drink.
The whole point is to see who can drink the most.
The most,
you
maybe the fastest.
I suppose.
Possibly, I can pound this many in that time period.
I'd much rather drink 18 overnight than 12 in an hour.
You know God, I mean? Jesus Christ! How do you even get that much liquid in you?
I don't know.
You'd feel just.
It comes out so fast.
If you move, it sloshes back and forth. You're like, oh boy.
Great taste, less filling, James.
Not less filling if you have 12 in an hour.
It's still liquid. That is an interesting.
That's what I mean. It's just a lot of liquid.
I thought about that when I was a kid. I was like, not really a kid, but
when
I was drinking.
A gross of ounces of beer, 144 ounces in your stomach.
When I was drinking, I often thought, how did I have that much liquid inside me when I drank as many as I drank?
Your stomach, but it's still gross.
You're pissing a lot.
And you're pissing a lot here. So he would do that. He'd drink all this. He said his first year, he was suspended from game. His coach's name was Zippy, by the way. That's what they called him. How do you get any? His coach's name was Dave Draper, but everyone called him Zippy. You're not getting any respect from your. Yeah, all right, Zippy, sure. Do some laps, guys. Yeah, fuck yourself, Zippy. Fuck out of here, man.
Make me Zippy.
Yeah,
Zippy, zip it.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this White Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. I'm going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles.
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud.
Sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
Behind the closed doors of government offices and military compounds, there are hidden stories and buried secrets from the darkest corners of history. From covert experiments pushing the boundaries of science to operations so secretive they were barely whispered about. Each week, on Redacted, Declassified Mysteries, we pull back the curtain on these hidden histories. 100% true and verifiable stories that expose the shadowy underbelly of power. Consider Operation Paperclip, where former Nazi scientists were brought to America after World War II, not as prisoners, but as assets to advance U.S. intelligence during the Cold War. These aren't just old conspiracy theories. They're thoroughly investigated accounts that reveal the uncomfortable truths still shaping our world today. The stories are real. The secrets are shocking. Follow Redacted, Declassified Mysteries on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Redacted early and ad-free right now on Wondery Plus.
Well, he got sent home with a friend of his on the team here. The coach heard about the boozing, and apparently they'd been hanging out with a group of girls.
Yeah.
He's always hanging out with these girls. Most of the time, it's like wayward girls. He talks about one sexual experience of like hanging out with these girls who he thought were like homeless, sort of, like lived in a group home or something, and went in the room and fucked one of them. And this was like 1982 when he's like, and she had a condom and whipped it out and was like, throw this on. And he was like, wow, like he thought she was a prostitute at that point. And he was like, I got out and I was like, I didn't even have to pay her or anything. It was great. I guess she wasn't a pro. She was just real into it. I was like, what the fuck?
No, dude.
Wow.
You just banged a chick that just does that a lot.
She was a teenager. You just banged a girl that had a lot of problems. You just banged a girl.
You just gave her another one.
Who probably had a terrible life up until that point, and you just made it worse. Congratulations. Good job. So, I guess so. They were hanging out with some nice girls, which wasn't allowed. You're going to defile these nice girls here. So him and his friend got sent home there. But that year, the 82-83 season, he plays in 51 games for Brantford, 12 goals, 16 assists, 133 penalty minutes.
My man.
Now we're talking.
This
is when he starts fighting, and he's the enforcer, and this guy loves to fight. He's got a weird honor about it.
Yeah.
Later on, I believe in 84 in the minors, he hurts a guy really bad, attacks a goaltender.
Oh, God.
Blindsides him, hurts him so bad he has to be taken out on a stretcher.
Yeah.
And then in his book, he talks about that. And then he talks about what pussies the teammates were and how he was just disgusted that the teammates didn't retaliate against him. He's like, for the rest of the game, not one person took a cheap shot at me. Like, what kind of pussies are these? I expected to get a stick to the side of the head.
Right.
Nothing.
I blasted your golie. How dare you not try to fight?
No respect, he said. No respect because they didn't lash out at him and take cheap shots at him. A weird honor among these enforcers all have this weird honor code amongst them. It's a society.
It's not surprising to him that...
It's so strange.
Why is it surprising that nobody wants to fight the guy that just took a cheap shot at the guy that nobody ever fights?
Well, in hockey, usually it's all retaliatory.
Yeah,
you bump this guy, so I bump you, and this guy.
But this guy just fought the guy with the most padding on and beat the shit out of him.
But he blindsided him. Yeah. He didn't see him coming. He just drilled him. So usually he'd be attacked, but it's a very weird... These hockey enforcers have a strange other society.
All right.
They're only in. No one else. None of the other players.
I get it. I'm just saying, I don't want to fight a guy that just took on the guy with the most padding and beat the fuck out of him.
Probably not.
I don't want to fight that guy.
No. Absolutely not.
Somehow his thunderous punches went through all that padding and injured him.
Yeah.
I'm out. I want nothing to do with that man.
But in hockey, you gotta.
I
suppose.
Go
up, you have a stick. That's what he said. I expected a stick to the side of the head. Something, slash me, do something, hurt me, injure me, damn it.
I guess I do have at least one tooth to spare.
Fuck, man, this is Canada. Someone's boozed up, hit me. So he had a lot of extracurricular activities at this point.
Okay.
Not only is he partying like crazy, he's drinking, he is fucking anything that moves.
Okay.
As a teenager, he talks about having this landlady who's like an older lady, and he describes her in the book. He's like, she's a little, she was a little dumpy, the sand had settled to the bottom a little bit on this one.
Is that what he said?
That was his exact quote.
The sand had settled
to the bottom a little bit.
Boy.
She wasn't the greatest, but she had pretty eyes, and what the fuck, she was there. She kept saying, when are you going to take care of me? When are you going to take care of me? So finally I was like, what the hell? Let's go to it. And so I guess he was fucking this little landlady behind her husband's back and all this shit. And then the landlady got mad at him because he was fucking some 20-year-old girl. And she came in. She was doing his laundry, the landlady, and she came in the house. And he was trying to sneak the back girl, the young girl out the window. And the landlady came in and saw her and got all mad.
She's got a basket full of his shit.
And then told the coach on him, which is weird. I don't know
What
how
a
that
bitch.
worked. Or they send him home. I was like, what is happening in Canada? What is going on in Canada with hockey?
What's going? Fuck hockey. How did he figure that out?
I don't know how he figures any of this out.
How did he know that he could bang his
man-child.
landlady and get her to do his laundry?
He's like 10 years ahead of the curve on everything here. But at 17, he figured out she's a little older, a little desperate. She likes me. If I throw her a one once in a while, I can get laundry done.
She'll operate the Maytag for me.
But apparently he was not allowed to have sex with anybody else.
That is wild.
Also, though, he said, oh, man, this is fucking funny. He said that not funny for her. He said that he got a girl pregnant, another girl. He said, quote, and I got the call. I had just settled into the Sioux. I don't know what that is. The Sault Ste. Marie. It's later. Okay. But I wanted to do the right thing. She wanted an abortion, but I thought about going to my coach and telling him, hey, coach, I'm sorry I can't play, but this girl needs an abortion, so I have to go be with her. I didn't think that would fly, so I called one of my buddies to handle it for me. So he had one of his friends take her to get an abortion. Well, he had hockey to play, Jimmy. What are you going to do?
Yeah, he's got a game.
He's got to practice that slap shot. He's got fights to get into. Can't tell the guy, hey, look, I made a huge life mistake, and this girl's going to go through an experience that she might need somebody there for.
Right.
So, and I'm the one who should probably be there since this is kind of my responsibility. He said, I got hockey. Hey, Frank, can you take this chick to the abortion clinic, please? Yeah, you can have her number afterwards. I don't care. That's what
clearly
the fuck?
She puts out, Frank.
Yeah, it's cool, man. You're
gonna
get
her
like
number, and everything will be all right.
Oh, my God. And this is like the second girl he had gotten pregnant in this time period, too. He likes to get girls pregnant. I guess the act of it, who doesn't at that point?
It's not necessarily likes to get him pregnant. He just hates to take it out.
He hates to, Not everyone whips a condom out like the one girl who he thought was a fucking pro there.
Right.
So,
what are you, an amateur?
Come on, what do you got? You don't got rubbers on you.
You didn't pull a rubber out.
Hey, sweetheart, where's your rubbers? Hey, you don't carry them around with you?
I'm leaving this in there.
I'm sorry, I can't take it out. It's a mess.
Once
what do you want from me?
It stays in.
I'm sorry. Plus, I forget. That's the thing. I've had a lot of beers. Now I can have 24 without passing out, so I'm doing better.
Ask me to write you a sentence.
I could do it. Here, look. There
4
you go.
words.
See how
Boom.
fast that
Sentence.
was? I wrote a sentence. That's my sentence. 4 words. Pow. So, he's such a hot commodity. Who wouldn't want this guy around their organization?
I mean, yeah.
Of course, the NHL comes sniffing around.
Oh, boy.
Obviously. 1983 NHL entry draft. And there's a lot of famous guys in this draft. Pat LaFontaine goes number 3. Steve Yzerman goes number 4. There's a lot of kind of Cam Neely's in there. A lot of people. Jeff Bukaboom, the famous enforcer, kind of goon for the Rangers. I had to see a great fight between him and McSorley once in the Garden. That was fucking amazing.
You were there?
I saw. Yeah, it was
Holy
great.
Shit.
It was Rangers Penguins in maybe 93, 94, around that era. My friend took me to it. They kept chipping at each other, and then they just fucking went at it. And I was like, this is great.
Yeah.
That's worth the price of admission right there.
I've been to 3 hockey games in my life and seen one fight and was vastly disappointed.
Really?
It was in it was a 2000s era. They don't fight near as well now as they did
This was
then.
93.
Yeah.
My uncle took me to a Rangers game in the late 80s, early 90s, and I saw Joey Coker go into 3 fights in one fucking game, too, who was another famous.
In one game?
Oh,
Jesus.
he'll do that, too. Well, don't worry about it. Claude Lemieux was drafted in this draft. Not Mario, but Claude.
Still good.
Still good.
Yeah.
Still a Lemieux.
Right.
It's all right. Finally, though, in the 3rd round, which is still only 46th overall, which isn't bad, Bob is drafted by the Detroit Red Wings. So he's got that here. He's drafted right before Bruce Shoebottom, who, Bruce Shoebottom, who I think he only played 35 games in the NHL.
Ouch.
And his name is Shoebottom, which is a terrible fucking name. What's on the bottom of a shoe?
Gum.
That's like a thing that's
sludge.
You insult somebody like you're the shit that someone scrapes off the bottom of their shoe. This guy.
In New York, the bottom of your shoe goes on the top of your shoe. I don't know if you noticed that. That is disgusting.
Oh, yeah.
I've never been somewhere before
everywhere.
that you walk down the sidewalk and as you step, shit flops from the bottom of your shoe. The whole toe of my shoe was black.
Well, that's exhaust.
How the fuck did that happen?
Because there's so much exhaust you're in the street with 65 million cars right there. That's how it works. Yeah, you don't wear nice shoes around New York. Not white ones.
That's it. I had gray ones.
Yeah, that's stupid.
They're not black.
Yeah, you don't do that. That's dumb. You messed up, Jimmy. You should have came to me. I could have told you about homeless guys on the subway who want to fuck you in the face. I could have told you about what shoes to wear. Just giving you a few tips overall to make your experience a little easier. You fell for a lot of first-timer shit. I got to be honest here. And I want to help you out next time. That's all I'm saying.
Good.
So 1983-84, this is what they do. They draft guys, but then they still play for these junior teams because he's like 17 years old or whatever. He's 18, I think he just turned, but still, it's not really NHL ready yet.
Right.
So he plays 83-84 for Brantford still. 65 games played. He had 35 goals that year.
All right.
That's awesome. 28 assists. Okay. That's a lot. And 189 penalty minutes.
That's a whole lot.
Which is a fuckload.
Yeah.
We have some of his fights here. That year, he fought Jeff Bukaboom twice in a game, which is nice. Like I said, the future guy. Then fought him later on in the year as well. He fought him January 27th twice, then fought him again on April 8th. He fought Rick Tocchet, who's another famous guy later on. Overall, though, not bad. A lot of fights that year, 18 altogether. 18 kind of documented fights. From this website, looks like he had about a 70% win percentage that year from what they totaled up. We're gonna add up all his fights too at the end.
How do they do wins? Like,
it's just voted. It's some of them are draws if the guys are holding each other. But Probert's fights are not boring.
They never go away. They don't stop until somebody quits.
I have seen fights with him where, I mean, they're 2 minutes long of guys just repeatedly punching each other in the face barefisted.
Those are my favorites.
You'd like Bob Probert fights. He doesn't fuck around. He doesn't pull on your. I mean, he'll pull your jersey up, but only so he can hit you more.
Right.
Like he fucking punches, and he's a wild man.
I love those when each guy's got a handful of jersey.
One handful of jersey and the other hand is just punching.
Just slugging.
One's throwing rights, one's throwing lefts, and they're just hitting each other, trading blows. That's what he does a lot. And it's like, fuck, man. That's frightening. 84-85, he plays 4 games with the Hamilton Steelhawks. Plays 44 games with the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds of the OHL. That's when he had the issue with the girl and all that. This is around this era. 44 games played there, like I said. 20 goals, 52 assists.
Okay.
That's fucking great. Yeah. That's 72 points in 44 games for this. That's not bad. And 172 penalty minutes, too.
This guy's a monster.
He'll beat your ass, too. Again, he's tons of fights that year. 16 fights that year, so plenty. I'm sorry, 24 fights that year.
Okay.
I messed up. 58% win percentage, they're saying
pretty
that
solid.
year, which isn't bad still. Yeah. Not all of them are reviewed and told. Some of them aren't on video. These are minor league hockey fights. So it's from what we've seen type of thing here. Also, the 85-86 season, he plays for the Adirondack Red Wings of the AHL. This is now for kind of in Detroit's farm system. 32 games played there, 12 goals, 15 assists, 152 penalty minutes in 32 games. Not bad.
32 games.
32 games.
He's averaging 5 minutes a game.
That's cooking.
That's amazing.
That's a lot of fighting, man. So he actually gets a chance with the Red Wings in the 85-86 season in Detroit. And he makes his presence known quickly. He comes into the NHL like a tough man coming into prison and wanting to show everyone what he's all about.
Where's the big guy?
That's what he's doing here. January 13th, 1986, he headbutts a guy named Bob McGill during a bench-clearing brawl versus Toronto. This is January 13th, 86. He receives a match penalty, game misconduct, and a major penalty for the incident. The NHL suspends him right after the game, and then they have a hearing to figure out that it was like a big deal. He headbutted a guy, which isn't okay.
It's illegal.
You can throw punches all you want, but once you headbutt a guy, it's a little much, I feel like.
That's eye gouging and biting at this point.
That's what they're doing there. You're 2 seconds from kicking him in the nutsack. So they ended up suspending him for 4 games. He ends up coming back late in January. Later on, the coach, though, says about that, Coach Brad Park said that he specifically ordered his players to leave the bench and join the fight.
He said, do it.
Get in there and fight, you pussies. Okay. No wonder why he loved hockey. The coaches are all like his dad. Yeah, pussy, get in there and fight that guy. Like, man.
Go throw punches now.
Yeah. Now, you imagine that if a coach said he instructed his team that was on the bench to go join a brawl. That guy would be forever suspended from the league.
That's how soft the NBA is now. Anytime there's a fight, the fucking coaches like join hands and
make a wall
keep
to keep
them
the
off
players
on the bench. Stay there. Stay there. Don't even cross the baseline.
What Bob says about this is he says, well, let's give it in their own words.
Okay.
What do you say? In their own words, quote, Yeah, I fought. I think that helped me make it into the league because they saw I could play and also fight. Do both. It's kind of a rarity in today's game. Guys who can do both now sign big contracts. I wish I was playing today. Not just as far as money. I was happy.
Okay.
So you see kind of that's later on after he's retired. He liked hockey. This is his lifestyle. You go around, you hang out with your friends, you fuck whatever you see, whatever you come across and fall into. You drink every night. You fight whenever you feel like it. This guy's like
caveman.
It's a man-child life dream here. He's living some kind of weird fantasy life of like a 13-year-old with anger and aggression issues.
It's 1980s caveman, though. You're carrying a big fucking club and everything.
That's what it is. We have a quote from Don Cherry, who's a famous Canadian hockey guy, presenter. I think that's the guy who does he has a hockey show up there.
Like Howard Cosell.
I think, but he's like Mr. Hockey.
Okay.
Don Cherry's something hockey night. I don't remember what it is. I had a Canadian friend talked about. He knew who Don Cherry was, and he talked about him.
Sounds terrible.
He said, "quote it sounds boring as fuck." He said, "Sounds like something that you only do if you can't go outside because there's 8-foot snow drifts and it's minus 40 out. So you're like, I guess we'll watch Don Cherry. Eh? There's 2 fucking channels, and Don Cherry's on one of them.
In the summer, it's covered in the winter, it's covered in snow. In the summer, it's moose shit.
That's
we
it.
stay inside.
That's it.
We watch Don Cherry.
Don Cherry says, "quote When Probert was fighting, did you ever see anyone get out of their seat and go for coffee?" So he's like, that's why a guy like that makes the league, because you got to have a guy who's good and he can score goals, get assists, and all that sort of thing. But at the same time, you want people to buy tickets.
Yeah.
That's, at the same time, there's
Dennis Rodman.
There's a little wrestling in everything. You know what I mean? There's a little have some personality, get people in here, and whatever. The Hulkster's going to pose. He's going to pose. So that year with Detroit. He plays in 44 games, has 8 goals and 13 assists, but 186 penalty minutes.
My Christ.
Letting the team know he's down for the cause
here.
He fights Bob Rouse or Rousey. I'm not sure. I think it's Rouse. He fights him on both September 22nd. Also fights him November 16th. Several guys he fights more than once in a season. He fights Rick Tocchet again. Might as well bring him in on there. He fights Clark Gillies. A lot of these fucking fights, man, just consecutive. Like some of these dates, January 10th, he fights Al Secord. January 13th, he fights Bob McGill. January 25th, he fights Brian Curran. January 25th, same game, he fights a different guy.
Wow.
Gord Kluzak fights him. January 28th, Rod Langway. January 31st, Lee Norwood. That was like fucking 2 weeks.
He fights more than a goddamn heavyweight.
By far, he fights more than these guys.
Dangerous.
You can't fight he fights 2 different guys in the same day. And then 2 days later, he fights another guy. And 3 days later, he fights another guy.
Wow.
19 fights total in his first NHL, kind of full season in the NHL. So on the ice, he's a complete fucking menace to society. And as we've chronicled off the ice, he's not all that slick either.
Yeah.
He's got problems there, including on April 4th, 1986, when he is out in the middle of the night. I think it's 1:55 in the morning, and he is arrested in Windsor on drunken driving and speeding charges.
Of course.
Okay. Windsor Police Sergeant Harold Pinkerton said that he was pulled over. Probert was, not Pinkerton.
Pinkerton pulled him over?
Pinkerton was pulled over. He was pulled over by Harold Pinkerton.
Jesus.
He pulled over after he was clocked at 100 kilometers per hour, which is about 63, which isn't that fast, 63 miles an hour. But the problem was it was a 50-kilometer zone, so it was still twice the speed limit, which is not okay. Not great. Apparently, once Probert was stopped on the shoulder of the road, he exited the car. That's always a bad sign when a dude gets right out of the car. The cops are always like, oh, boy, what do we got here?
Where's he going?
What's going on here? The police officer said that he, quote, staggered and smelled of alcohol, which is a bad sign, right? A giant guy staggering and smelling of alcohol walking toward you.
Muttering YOLO.
Yeah.
He's more YOLO than Drake, by the way.
I would say.
Jesus, this is impressive.
I would say that is really all you could do. He should just be Bob YOLO, should be his name, because he's not. That's his whole life.
He's killing it.
That's his whole fucking life, and he lives that way pretty much always. This is a crazy goddamn story.
At this point, he's like 21.
Oh yeah, he's 20.
20 years old. He's already gone through 2 abortions.
Oh, he's got abortions. He's fucking landladies whose sand has settled.
Right.
He's got a lot of shit going on right now. A lot of shit.
I know what he's saying, too, because I've seen those asses where the sand is settled.
I know what he's saying.
I know exactly what he's saying.
It sounds like a
fucked
landlady.
up way to say it.
Yeah, landlady. Sand settled. It sounds like it's just,
It's hilarious.
It's not, none of his book, he doesn't pull punches. He's not nice or PC or anything like that. He's pretty
it's a mom ass.
honest,
That's
I would
what
say.
it is.
So he's taken to the Windsor police station where, in true lunatic fashion, he refuses to take a breathalyzer test, of course. That's mandatory. You have to if they say you have to under Canadian law. He ends up being released eventually to appear in court later on. He did have to be forcibly restrained at the station because he got very angry that they wanted him to take a breathalyzer. The Red Wings general manager, whose hair is just silver as can be, Jimmy Devillano, said, quote, "It is very, very disappointing, but it is not surprising to me. There have been indications of this kind of thing happening before. The Detroit Hockey Club will not tolerate this type of thing happening too often. I simply will not tolerate it in the next season. I will do something." He just said the next time he does this, he's in trouble. I will not. Too
often.
Literally, the club will not tolerate this type of thing happening too often. Right. Once in a while, okay, you got to run amok in a police station. We understand. It's fine. But not all the time.
Right.
So he will not tolerate this in the next season. I will do something.
Not this year.
Not now. But if it happens too often next year, then I'll do something then. So that's all for then.
That statement is garbage.
But right now, have a good night, everybody. Have a good one.
Come on by the stadium tomorrow night. We got 2-for-1 hot dogs.
Thank you.
Plenty of Labatt's. See you there.
Plenty of Labatt's. Probert couldn't be reached for comment afterwards, shockingly enough.
Dealing with a hangover.
He's 22. What the fuck's he going to say?
Right.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, let's just do it now. I realize this is an odd time, right after a DUI to say this, but it's really the only time it can be done. Grace.
Really?
This is Grace.
When he got out of it?
When he gets out of jail. He's not out of it yet, but he gets released from jail after acting like a crazy person in the police station, refusing a breathalyzer test and getting a DUI. So, yeah, that's
amazing.
That's what's happening there. So it's a little bit
abortions, DUIs, and the coach sweeping it under the rug.
Grace. Grace, Jimmy. That's it right there.
That's amazing.
Fake IDs. He's an alcoholic by fucking by the time he gets a driver's license.
Drink.
No, well, he's 18 in Canada.
But isn't he in fucking Detroit?
Detroit, yeah.
He can't drink.
Well, Windsor, he got pulled over. So Ontario, he's fine. Cross the border, fuck you. He's drinking.
That's probably why they were like,
but he can't
do
be
something
driving
next time.
Yeah, listen, everybody. He's Canadian. Yeah. You know what you get when you draft these guys. Right. They're all going to grow beards and drink beer. We can't help it. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is, but they're good at hockey.
It's so good.
At this point around now, I say grace because now it really starts to go off the rails. This is when he takes cocaine for the first time.
Oh, no.
He says, what the hell? He says, quote, "It was an instant love. Oh, yeah, I felt like Superman. Wow, this is awesome. Cocaine was magic." If you do cocaine once and describe it as magic, never go near cocaine ever again.
That's not good for you, sir.
Never go near it again. Ever. That is so terrible.
He spelled YOLO in it and did
Fuck
all those
that.
lines.
I was going to say in cocaine. I did coke once when I was a teenager, a little drop, and it was the worst thing I've ever done. You see how I am. Yeah. I'm a little fucking, I got some shit going on. I'm a
little wired.
I'm a little wired. I got a lot of stuff happening. Now add more to that. Add me plus times 10. I wanted to fucking kill myself. This is horrible. Why would anyone do this? Why? Jesus Christ. But if you describe it as magic, you're going to have a problem. I'll tell you that right now. Magic. Have you ever taken or eaten or drank anything and said, that's magic?
Oh, Perrier lime water is
not
fucking
bad.
magic.
That's not bad. That's
magic
a good point.
in a bottle.
That's a good point. I
Throw
like
a little gin in that, forget it.
Drake's cakes and devil dogs and coffee cake. Magic. But other than that, and I have a problem with those.
Not cocaine.
Yeah. People sent me lots of boxes of devil dogs. I had to make sure to eat those before they expire because they expire quick. Holy fuck, Jimmy!
Felt like you were on cocaine.
I was eating 10 devil dogs a day at one point. Like I had a problem. It was bad.
And now you've got diabetes.
And now I'm a diabetic. Fuck, damn it, almost. So July of 1986. This was, by the way, like we said, he got arrested for the DUI in April 4th, 86 was the date. Then he felt like Superman.
Yeah.
His cocaine was magic. And then July of 86, a couple months later, he's arrested for assaulting a Windsor police officer after a bar fight.
Oh my God.
So that's terrific. Yeah, he gets in there's a huge brawl. It spills outside. Police show up, and he said, well, I guess they're in it too now. I'm going to sock this guy.
Somebody told them all.
Somebody told them all.
Get in there and throw punches.
It's fucking crazy. So that's then. And then July 22nd, a few days later of 86, he agrees to enter the Hazelden Foundation's rehabilitation facility in Lindstrom, Minnesota.
21 years old.
He's going to rehab. Oh, by
20.
By 23, I think he'd been to rehab 5 times.
Holy
so we don't find out
shit.
about all the different rehabs. There's a bunch of different stints in rehab that we'll talk about. He's just
amazing.
He's in and out of rehab constantly because in the 80s, that was kind of the they didn't know what to do with drug addiction or alcohol addiction or anything in the 80s. They were just like, I guess if is he willing to go to rehab? Right. Well, then he's in rehab. That's fine.
Lock him in rehab,
so they
shut the door, let him detox.
And that was like absolving you of responsibility.
Yeah.
We sent him to rehab. I don't know. He went to rehab. And back then it was like, that should clean him up. That should be good. It's crazy. And that's how it was back then, though. They were just like, just keep sending him to rehab. And that would allow him to keep coming back. Because anytime, all you had to do was just be like, I have a problem. And then I went to rehab and I'm dealing with it. And people would be like, well, come on back and play.
Good for you.
Which is great.
Right.
Which is fine. That's good. But I mean, you can't expect people to not relapse is the problem with these type of things. It's going to happen. And if you're talking about, especially if you put them on the road and put them around a bunch of people who do nothing but drink booze, it happens here.
When you're an addict, you're going to relapse. It
happens.
How many people do you know that have done drugs, got into a problem, went to rehab, and
never
then got out
again.
and just fucking smooth sailing?
Forever.
Yeah.
Never
met
in
a
the
person
road.
in my life.
It's not how it works. It's just not how it works. Really not. He said after the first 10 days, though, he was moved to the Abbott Northwestern Hospital in Minneapolis, where he was treated for withdrawal for alcohol. He was such an alcoholic, he had to be taken out of the alcohol hospital and put in an even more hardcore alcohol hospital because that's how bad his withdrawals were.
Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, it's fucking
the
horrible.
Worst thing ever.
So
it's
that's
terrible.
It's terrible, and that's what he was going through at that point. So that's what kind of how much of an alcoholic he was here.
So scary.
Yeah, in total, he spent 36 days in 2 rehab programs, and according to the newspaper, he, quote, returned to training camp with a renewed sense of himself.
36 days.
36 days? All done. Drinking since he was 14 every night, 12 packs, whole lifestyle, 36 days. He's cured, Jimmy.
Hall of Fame, here I come.
Cured. All good now. He's good now.
Unbelievable.
It's fine. In actuality, what actually was going on is when he went to rehab, he was sent to rehab, and he recounts how he liked rehab a lot at that time because he was fucking a patient. He was fucking another patient, which is why he also is another reason why they moved him to another hospital.
Yeah.
He says that he will not say who it was, but he says she was a celebrity, and says that his quote is that she was married to a guy whose parents were rich in the sports world. I read about their divorce in the paper the next year. It was a big scandal in the States. They had a terrible custody battle. So
Sarah
around
McLachlan.
Nice. She's married to an athlete in the States in 1987. Maybe she's
Shania
Canadian.
Twain.
Canadians. Celine Dion.
Right.
So
Carrie
Brian Adams.
Underwood.
Yeah, they're flowing now. So
I don't think she's Canadian. But she's married to an athlete.
She looks Canadian.
She was married to an athlete. I don't know.
That's true. Yeah, who knows?
There's a lot of them married to athletes.
So there was apparently, if you look at some sort of public sports divorce in 1987-ish with a big custody battle, that's who we're dealing with. I don't know who that is.
Or possibly not.
Or not.
Or maybe he's lying.
Maybe, but something tells me he's not lying.
Right.
Just something for him here. Once again, good now, obviously. Get out of rehab, and your biggest accomplishment in rehab was fucking some broad that you met whose husband is a sports guy.
And she's going through a messy divorce, and she's got a fucking substance abuse problem.
Maybe he didn't take it seriously is all I'm getting at here. So October 2nd, 1986, he avoids jail time. He's placed on probation after promising that he would no longer use alcohol to the court. So that's his issue there. He said, and then he came out afterwards and said, total contrition. Yeah. Listen, I'm sorry. I terrible mistakes. Yeah. From now on, I'm going to be a different person. I'm not going to drink alcohol, and I understand what I did wrong, and I just want to help don't want the community to the whole thing. Later on, he said, quote, I thought having this kind of stuff on the record would be helpful in my future court dates. That's what he said. He's like, I knew what I was doing when I was publicly telling everybody. He's like, this was total bullshit. It's like, I knew I'd be getting arrested again sometime, and I would need this sort of thing.
Those whole public mea culpas really fucking just irk me. They're so dumb.
It's so stupid. Why are you telling us
right.
for? We're not your
Show
fucking
us,
your wife. We're
right.
not your mom. Go tell your kids that you embarrassed.
Right.
Go fucking apologize to your employer who pays you money. Right. I don't do shit. You don't owe me a thing. Right. Who cares?
I just like watching you fight.
Yeah. So November of '86. He is barred from re-entering the United States because of the assault on the police officer.
Great.
So there's a problem there. That ends up eventually getting worked out, but there's a little time period there
for him
where he can't enter the United States. And
For him,
yeah.
You have a plumber in Canada try to fight a cop and then try to get into the U.S., not happening.
It's worse getting into Canada.
Right.
You can't. If you had,
really?
Oh my God, Jimmy, have a disorderly conduct 10 years ago.
Try to get in
they
there?
won't fucking let you in there. It's crazy time.
But if you play hockey, come on in.
That's the thing. Yeah. Well, fuck. I remember Rod Beck, the baseball player I knew, telling me that when Mel Hall was on his team, we know about Mel Hall. Mel Hall had arrests before that. They used to have to sneak him into. He used to sneak into Canada.
Christ.
They had to sneak into Canada. Like he couldn't be known that he was there if they were going to play the Expos. If the Giants were going to play the Expos, it was like put a blanket over Hall. Right. It's fucking ridiculous, man.
Under the dark of night, they're smuggling in a ball player.
It's fucking ridiculous with a jerry curl, just juice dripping behind him. So
shit freezing in the street.
Fuck. So 1986, 1987. He plays for Adirondack. He only plays in 7 games. He has 1 goal, 4 assists, and 15 penalty minutes. Reason being is that middle of the night, he's in Windsor, and he is arrested by Windsor police for driving while impaired. Again, twice in 8 months now. He's charged with not only DUI, but violating his probation, where he says the one thing he's not supposed to do is drink alcohol, and that is the thing he's done the most. And he can't really deny it either. He can't say, I was fine, I didn't swerve, nothing happened, because he drove his car into a fucking concrete utility pole, then was arrested. With no other cars, he just drove his car and would tell where they go. That guy must be fucked up. Right. Pull him out of the car. Hey, look, he's all fucked up. Fucking idiot.
He had 17 that night and passed out behind the wheel.
That's what ended up happening here. So, like I said, he's charged with DUI. He's charged with all this shit. His license is suspended, and he's fined $500 right away. Detroit suspends him indefinitely. Indefinitely.
Really?
We want nothing to Jimmy. No. He said, too often. I will not put up with this too often. Turns out he said, you know what, Bob? One more chance. Only a 2-game suspension for you.
Instead of indefinite.
He learned his lesson.
2 days.
He learned
Two
his
fucking
lesson.
days later.
This was December 19th, and he came back. The game he was back was December 23rd.
4 fucking days.
So it was a 4-day, 2-game suspension.
You go home and think about what you've done.
They were like, well, we're playing the Blackhawks 2 days before Christmas. We need this fucking guy here. January 30th, 1987, he's fined $2,000, had his driver's license revoked after he's convicted of 2 drinking-related charges from the December 19th. They convict him of DUI and violating probation by drinking. So that's 2 convictions there.
They take it serious as fuck.
They do, but at that time they do also acquit him of like the more serious. There was like a serious DUI charge, and they had a couple of like underlying charges, and they acquitted him of the hardcore one and gave him the lightweight ones here. So that's what happens in a plea. Mm-hmm. Well, the one that you can get 3 years in jail for, we'll get rid of that, and you pay $2,000 and give over your license, you fucking shithead. That's all there is to it
they
here.
They revoked his license. He's so young.
You can't have a license anymore. Like an old man who can't see his hand in front of his face. We have to take it from you. You're not responsible enough for an automobile. Jesus Christ. Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit about The Black Tux.
TheBlackTux.com.
The Black Tux is the easy way for guys to rent suits and tuxedos online. The Black Tux has tons of fresh, new, complete suits and looks and essentials for your upcoming events, weddings. It's wedding season. You know you're going to have to go to a wedding, or one of your buddies is going to be getting married.
Yeah.
You're going to bring a date with you. What are you going to look like? You're going to look terrible?
You're going to look like an idiot.
No, you need to get a good suit, a good tux. Or worse, what if she makes you go to a wedding?
Right.
You're in trouble. You better look good because her friends are going to be looking and judging her on you.
You bet.
The whole thing's a mess. So this all depends on you getting a good suit and a good tux, and The Black Tux is the place to do it. The Black Tux has awesome suits and tuxedos in all kinds and styles. You rent them online. It's so easy to do. You go on there. It's the easiest thing. You really need to try it out. The Black Tux offers the kinds of suits and tuxedo styles that would normally be really, really expensive to buy, obviously, and even it's more expensive to rent at one of these cheap little discount shops. This is going to be less expensive than that. Like the Emerald Shawl tuxedo. They're saying it's funky, it's cool, but how many times are you going to wear an emerald green tuxedo? Something like that. If you need like a special, you want to make a statement, you want to look, be
the guy
that night, but then you're like, what am I going to do with this green tuxedo now? So you don't bring it. You give it back there.
You send it back.
And you looked great, and everything is done. After ordering, your suit will arrive within 14 days before your event. If it's anything less than perfect, the Black Tux will send you a replacement right away. And remember how simple returns are. Wear it, turn heads, then send it back 3 days after your event. Shipping is free both ways. Stand out at your next event for the right reasons with the Black Tux. To get $20 off your purchase, visit thebblacktux.com/CIS. That's thebblacktux.com/CIS for $20 off your purchase. The Black Tux, premium rental suits and tuxedos delivered.
Thebblacktux.com/CIS. And now back to the show.
February 11th, 1987, there is the NHL's All-Star break. It is for the Rendezvous series with the Soviets. Apparently, they played some games with the Soviets.
Okay.
During that time, Bob returns to rehab at the Red Wings' insistence. They were like, maybe you need a little more. I don't think you need like just 10 more minutes. Put it on 350 and get it baking. You're a little soft.
I like that they're playing Russians and they're naming the series something French.
The Rendezvous series, yeah. That's fucking great.
It's another foreign team.
And it wasn't
That's
even,
what it is.
Maybe it was in Montreal. That's all we can think here. So he went to the Brentwood Recovery Center in Windsor.
Okay.
He ends up not returning to but he returns to the Detroit lineup on March 2nd. So it's like 3 weeks later. He's back in the lineup already. So that was really big time.
Really teaching him his lesson.
Really doing a thing there. It's a special work release program from rehab.
All right.
Which is ridiculous because he's in like rehab and kind of like a halfway kind of a thing too. So he's allowed to attend Red Wings games and practices while still taking part in the treatment program, which isn't treatment. That's not getting away from all that. So you're going to go to work and come home and then get treatment.
The thing
I'm not a doctor, but that's not how rehab works.
Right. Also, the thing that's triggering and making him do drugs and alcohol is the hockey.
It's the hockey.
It's the enabler.
It's the other thing. It's helping anyway. That's his whole wheelhouse.
Right.
You know what I mean? All he had to do was have someone provide someone to take him from the rehab center to all the team functions. He had to have a driver, obviously. So he did that. He comes back on February 28th, 1987. He gets out of the rehab program and returns on March 2nd, like I said. And eventually, though, that's when he's in and out. The March 2nd, he does that. You have to have a ride and all that shit. But by March 30th, he's kicked out of the Brentwood program for violating program rules. And Detroit says, all right, I guess you're playing hockey still.
Yeah.
They were like, that's fine.
We got you.
What are you going to do? What are we going to do? Bench you?
Right.
No, you're a hockey player. Right. We're playing hockey. You get in
fight
there.
a lot. We need you.
You know what? If you need to have a couple of drinks before you get in there and sock a man in the head, so be it.
Listen.
Knock yourself out, pal.
We got it in the cooler.
So he's in there. Now in hockey that year, because he's had a busy year off the ice, on the ice, pretty goddamn busy too. Jeez. He plays in 63 games. Okay. How do you have that much shit going on and still somehow play in 63 out of 82 games?
You figure out 63 nights to be at the fucking at the rink.
Incredible. When you're not being arrested or in rehab or fucking a celebrity or fighting cops or doing some shit. He has 13 goals, 11 assists, and 221 penalty minutes that year.
Okay.
Detroit goes to the conference finals and loses to Edmonton.
Got it.
Loses to the Oilers, who were kind of they were nasty in the mid-'80s. They had Gretzky and Messier and shit.
Oh,
they were
That's
nasty.
A cool jersey.
Yeah, they were the Oilers jerseys.
Big fucking circle
those
on
are
their
pretty
chest.
dope. I like those.
That's really cool about hockey is that their jerseys, their
They're
logo
badass.
is they're huge on the chest.
Hockey jerseys are cool as
They
fuck.
are.
They look cool, but like to wear them is very impractical.
It's very weird.
But they look
it looks like a
cool as shit.
Looks like a
they're like ornate. They're cool.
Yeah. But
like,
it looks like a Spanish poncho when you
wear
it.
It's kind of
if
like
you're wearing it with like jeans, you look stupid.
It's almost like that's like I think I think they might be the coolest jerseys, hockey jerseys. Then baseball jerseys are cool as fuck.
Yeah.
And then I think football are mostly shit. They're
they
mostly
really are.
shit.
There's only a few unis that are
there's
pretty
no real
kick-ass.
logos on them. It's just kind of a. Anyway, we're way off the subject here. It doesn't matter.
By far the dumbest thing to wear out in public.
Definitely. So yeah, because it's a tank top. I'm wearing a tank top
are an
now.
asshole.
I feel like an idiot. So it's 221 penalty minutes, and that encompasses 23 fights that year. 23 fucking fights.
For how many minutes?
221 penalty minutes. And he is fighting, again, a lot of the same guys. Your Bob McGills, your guys like that. He fights Kevin McGuire multiple times this year. Fights Todd Ewan twice in the same night. Then fights him again 3 weeks later. So he's very into him. Craig Berube likes to fight.
Very into him.
Very into fighting him. He fights Craig Berube on March 28th, and then April 1st, they play Philly again, and he fights Berube again twice.
Good Christ.
So he's
same dude going after him again.
That's what happens all the time too. It's funny. In some of these fights, they classify as like unfair because that'll be one where like Probert just grabbed a guy and beat an unwilling participant. Because that happens sometimes with Probert.
Grab him by the throat.
He'll just grab guys who are not trying to fight him and fight them. Like, well, you're fighting now. So it's like, no, we don't have to, this isn't a submarine. We don't have to both turn the key. We're fighting. So that year, they called him, they said his record was 13-5-3 that year in the fights on this website. Not bad. Not bad at all. December 3rd, 1987, he is jailed one night in Redford Township, Michigan, for violating his probation related to the DUI conviction. He was out drinking, and he got busted for some sort of public drunkenness. And they said, you're not supposed to be A, doing this. No one is. And B, you're especially not because you're not supposed to even be drinking at all, even in the privacy of your own home.
His name is Robert Probert?
Robert Probert.
That's a weird fucking name.
Probert.
His last name is his first name with a P.
Yeah, Robert Probert. And he's got two Berts in his name. He's double
so
Bert.
Weird.
Bert squared, bitch.
And how did they not ever call him Bob Probation Probert? How did that never come up?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Perfect.
Really?
How did they never do that?
They were still trying to figure out if it was Probert or Probert, I think. That's why. Is it Probert or I don't know. Never mind. Fucking they went away there. This year, he plays in 87-88. He plays in 74 games, 29 goals, 33 assists, which is amazing. That's a great year. 398 penalty minutes.
My Christ, he kicked it up a notch.
300.
From 200 to 300.
98 minutes.
He damn near doubled
400,
it.
Basically.
He almost doubled
it. Which is, it leads the league, and it's an insane amount. So insane, they love him so much that in March of that year, in March of 1988, toward the end of the season, Detroit signs him to a 3-year, $200,000 a year deal.
Robert Probert, come here.
Come here, Robert Probert. We like you because you fought 35 times that year. 35 fights. Holy shit.
That's so much.
35 fucking fights?
How many games?
He played in 74 games and got in 35 fights. That is
once every 2 nights. That's
unfucking real.
Crazy.
And several times, October 17th, he fights twice, different guys. November 19th, he fights different guys twice. December 23rd, he fights 2 different fucking guys in the same game.
Unbelievable.
And then there's times like January 23rd, 24th, he fights different guys back to back, different nights. The 29th, he's fighting again. It's fucking crazy.
That's so much fighting.
March 19th, he fights 2 different guys.
Vicious fighting.
This is all vicious, bare-fisted.
Yeah.
And if you fall down, you're hitting your head on ice.
Right.
This is all brutality.
So dangerous.
So fucking and there's someone else also has, everyone's wearing razor blades on their feet. Highly dangerous.
It's fucking nuts.
It's almost just like a trick just to be able to throw punches while skating on ice. Like, I feel like that's showing off anyway.
Yeah.
But
I wouldn't care if you were shadow boxing. I'd be like, you're pretty good at that.
That's fucking great. Now, taking out all the unfair fights and shit like that, they say that he went 23-5. 20 wins, 3 losses, and 5 draws this year in his fighting.
That's 7 unfairs.
That's not bad.
7 unfairs.
A bunch of unfairs and a couple that just got broken up quick too. If they get too kind of how it goes.
Goosey, trying to get leverage.
He's had several unfair fights against Kevin McGuire. I don't know what it is about this Kevin McGuire guy that gets under old Probert's skin so fucking much, but he just fights this guy against his will repeatedly. I don't understand why that is. But hey, what are you going to do? It must have pissed him off good. May 1988, mind you, just signed 2 months ago a brand new deal. Yeah. So you expect this guy to be Mr. fucking Detroit citizen at this point. Yeah. Just good guy, taking one for the team.
Sure.
They're in the conference finals. They go all the way to the conference finals. You win this, you go to the Stanley Cup finals, you could be champions. They're playing Edmonton, who's a fucking dynasty. Yeah. Okay? All hands on deck. We need to be good. The night before Game 5, by the way, with Edmonton up in the series 3-1.
Oh, no.
They're losing. Bob is caught drinking and violating curfew along with several other Detroit players before the game that night. And
before the game?
The night before the game.
Oh, okay.
They're getting shit-faced, violating curfew. It's like 2 in the morning and they're out drinking with a game the next day.
Stupid.
They're supposed to be in. That's a big deal for and sports teams. If you have a playoff series, you're supposed to be in in by curfew. And also they end up losing Game 5 and with that the series. So
what a dick.
If they came in and won 8-1, then he could be like, "Hey, man, that's my process." Right. But if you go in and lose, then stop fucking drinking, moron. It's not helping you any. Jackass. So 1988-1989 season, he plays in 25 games, 4 goals, 2 assists, 106 penalty minutes, but it's a very, very interesting year.
Yeah.
The stats mean nothing. September of 1988, he's suspended indefinitely by the team. This is before, again. So that's got to be 2 games is indefinite on this team. He's reinstated soon after, obviously, here. Apparently, at this point here, the Red Wings obviously have a special set of rules for Probert.
Yeah.
Like, he can go out and act like a lunatic, and it's okay. I don't think if everybody on the team was out getting DUIs, punching cops, staying out past curfew, that just wouldn't happen. You can't have everybody doing that. So the fact that he's doing it and they're letting him get away with it is pissing people off. Mm-hmm. It's pissing some of the players off because they're like, hey, fuck that. If I got a fucking DUI, I'd be in trouble. This guy gets a DUI. They just, shuffle him off to rehab and pat him on the back, and he's back in 2 weeks doing the same shit. He's out drinking with us.
Indefinite for 2 days.
He's indefinitely suspended. They're not going to put up with it too much. I'll tell you that right now.
What that indefinitely means is he's definitely suspended, but
we don't know how much.
I'm not sure.
It's indefinite that he'll be suspended. But, I mean, the amount of time is up in the air if we want to get really semantic about the whole thing.
The only time I've ever heard indefinite suspension in the NFL was with Ray Rice. And I'm pretty sure that man is still suspended.
Still
6 years later.
Not suspended, just practically suspended. A practical suspension, whereas no one will sign you.
Right. Fucking banned forever.
Absolutely. So the team, the management, some of the coaches are like, why do we put up with this shit? And the management puts up with this shit. Some of the players are like, why are the coaches putting it? So it's just causing a lot of rifts between a lot of different groups of people. They would wonder what shape he's going to be in when he shows up. Is he going to show up on time? Will he be hungover? Will he be shit-faced? Will he be fucking pie-eyed on coke?
Right.
What's his condition going to be in?
How does one guy create so many questions and uncertainty?
It's insane.
Before they just give up.
And he's fresh off a stint in the Betty Ford Center in Palm Springs there for his alcoholism. That is 5 alcohol rehabilitation centers in the last 3 years he's been to, which is not terrific. He said that he would have to stay. At first, he said he would have to stay in the clinic for 2 to 3 months because it was. he's got a problem.
Yeah.
But 2 weeks later, he said, I'm good now.
Yeah.
I'm getting out of here.
Yeah.
So obviously the Red Wings probably should have said, hey, guy, listen, you've completed these programs and it didn't help. I doubt getting out way early is going to help you. They just said, hey, there's your skates. Grab your stick, buddy, and punch that guy. Knock yourself out. Didn't give a fuck.
Knock yourself and him out.
Silver-haired as shit. Yeah. Go ahead and knock that brain around your skull for a little while longer. He fled the Betty Ford Clinic. He was under a team suspension for missing several flights and practices during training camp, which is fucking nuts. So he's had a lot of problems, is what they're getting at here. Now, he was fined $200 on September 20th, 88, for missing a team bus and a flight from Chicago to Detroit. That was one of the training camp incidents. They demoted him to the minor leagues at that point just to show him that they meant business.
Yeah.
So then they ended up suspending him indefinitely because he skipped a flight and a practice in the minors. What did they think? He would take minor league hockey more seriously?
Right.
Like, oh, I got to get to the minor league practice now, even though I know I'm a star and I just got a big contract.
The NHL. I'm gonna hurry up and get there.
Jesus Christ. So, yeah, apparently Detroit insisted that he enter rehab. That's when he went to Betty Ford and fled 10 days into it. He flew back to Detroit from the Betty Ford clinic, and other passengers reported that he was obviously drunk on the plane. So gets out.
Amazing.
You're going to get out of rehab. What are you going to do? Tie one on.
Got to fucking celebrate.
And then you got to get on a flight, have a couple to calm down here. His agent, Patrick Duchesne, said that he told team officials that Probert had to leave rehab to come back to the Red Wings because he needed money and was flat broke.
Oh, boy.
So they said he's totally broke. The suspension cost him $1,300 a day in lost salary, and he was forced to sell his home and his Corvette while he lived in a like an alcohol recovery halfway house.
He doesn't have a license.
No, well, that's the thing. Why you have a Corvette, especially a fast car. So he's taking Antabuse too, the alcohol drug, and living in a halfway house at that point during the rehab stint.
Professional athlete.
In a
halfway house.
Halfway house, not allowed into other countries, selling his house and Corvette and all this shit.
Unbelievable.
Not going well for him so far. That's why I said grace earlier. Now you see why, right? Yeah, that DUI was charming compared to this shit that's going on now.
That was putting your napkin on your lap.
Ah, man, that was foreplay. That's what that was. It was nothing.
Jesus.
Fuck. Now, October of 1988, with everything going not terrific for him, everything going terrible, this is when you want to take on big new relationships. We always say this is when you want to get married.
You need some support.
You need some support. You need to find someone with as many problems as you to latch on to, because that will never go wrong, obviously.
You need a yes man that loves to suck your cock.
That's what you're looking for. That's what you're looking for. Well, he meets Danny, D-A-N-I, Danny, in October of 1988. He's staying at the Relax Plaza in Windsor while he's suspended by the Red Wings, and his work permit was revoked by the U.S. government for that time period.
It's amazing.
Danny ignored her mother's warnings to stay away from him and fell in love with him once she got over his, quote, highlighted mullet and the acid-wash jeans. So, well, it was 1988. That was the peak of fashion. Acid-wash jeans and a highlighted mullet. You were a fucking fashionable cat at that point if you had that.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, you're right. I've seen Stranger Things. That boy pops in the second season. Everybody's like, whose ass is that? I want to get to know it.
Dude, in 88, October of 88, tell me you wouldn't have killed for a highlighted mullet and some good acid-wash jeans. As a child, I would have been like, "That's fucking awesome." Jesus Christ, that's like having a motorcycle. That's cool as fuck.
That's just being Kirk Cameron for 10 minutes.
Goddamn, this is great. So, she said, quote, he was a really good-looking guy, real charismatic, great sense of humor. She said that the relationship had peaks and valleys, but she stuck by him here always, and later on they'll have a long, protracted relationship, obviously. Now, a lot of pressure from the fans. They want Probert back.
They do.
They wanted him back, so Detroit lets him join the team after all this mess with the rehab and Betty Ford.
I met a girl. I'm fine now.
Everything is fine now here. After he returns, he does a big personal apology to all his teammates and all that kind of shit. Absolutely. He does the big mea culpa there. They roomed him with Peter Klima, who had, I don't know who he is. He's a hockey player, obviously.
I don't have a fucking clue.
Maybe a coach.
Yeah.
He'd been going through similar battles with alcohol, apparently. Okay. He was like a recovering guy who was kind of like a sponsor they gave him here. He thought that they would have a good influence
you two
on
are
him.
Shitheads hang out together.
That's what they did. They said, well, the older shithead, he was like a trustee. And they were like, look, don't help him escape from prison. Right. Just show him around. Yeah. So they do that. It worked for a little while, and then by the time January came around, Probert showed up late for a game versus Montreal and was scratched from the lineup and told the public that it was the flu. And he showed up late, and they were just like, Probert's got the flu tonight. He's not going to be playing.
Brown bottle flu.
Later on, Detroit admitted that they had been covering up for him, which they had totally covered up for him here. He's suspended again January 25th for violating team rules. Didn't return to the team until February 15th. Wow. Returns to the lineup February 25th versus Chicago. A lot of shit going on. These last 2 years have just been a mess, a shitstorm. So all this rehab, all this shit. He had the flu. He had all this shit. I'm using air quotes. All this stuff. Finally, February 25th, he's back with the Red Wings. Playing Chicago, everything is fine, right? I mean, this is good. I think this is, I think maybe he's going to go through. This would have to be a wake up call.
Gotta be
for anybody. You know what I mean? So February 25th, he's back. So 6 days later, on March 3rd, 1989,
oh boy,
he's arrested.
Oh shit!
At the United States and Canada border. For smuggling 14.3 grams of cocaine into the United States. You fucking idiot.
Why
they found the cocaine during a strip search here at 7 a.m. on the United States side of the Detroit-Windsor Tunnel. Yes, apparently they saw some shit in his car, booze and shit like that in the car. They pulled him out.
Jesus, they really take that border crossing shit serious.
Yeah.
You pop up to the border and they're like, all right.
Out of the car, everybody. Drop them pants.
Bend over and cough.
Well, they look through his coat pocket, which is the most non-intrusive fucking search you can do, and they found a cocaine mill, grind up the fucking grind rock into powder here in his coat pocket. So that's a problem. So now they're strip searching you. Yeah. And once they do, they find 14.3 grams of cocaine in his underpants.
Why didn't you just put the grinder in there?
Underpants. So now,
what an idiot!
You can't. And he tried to say, "Well, that's not mine."
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead on a limb here. Crime and sports rule. If it's in your underpants, it belongs to you.
Forever.
Period. No one can hide something in your underpants without you knowing it, because you know what's in your underpants. Right. You just know what's in there.
That's not mine.
If a crumb is in your underwear, you fucking know it. So a half ounce of Coke, you probably know it's there.
I've found a hair in there walking. Like I didn't even, I didn't even have to reach it.
You just know.
I was walking. I go, "There's a hair in there."
Yeah, that's
a hair. God damn it!
Half ounce of Coke. So that's crime and sports rule. If it's in your underwear, you fucking
yours.
Own it.
Yeah,
how's that? So
forever.
Yeah.
God, Jesus.
I guess the car had empty beer and liquor containers. That's why they initially did that. They also learned that his immigration document had expired.
Yeah.
And then they found a secondary search of his car. They had 2 amphetamine tablets and a bunch of drug paraphernalia also. So
of course.
Loaded down. You're crossing a border. Do you even think, hey, maybe streamline the shit I have?
Right.
Maybe just the Coke? That way they really have to go. It's going to be a lot if they just strip search me for nothing. Just if you have half ounce of Coke that you're smuggling across the border, I would say nothing else suspicious in the car.
How about also, too,
that's the rule.
They got Coke grinders here. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying.
Don't bring it with you.
Nothing else suspicious. Everything else clean. They have no reason to strip search me. So, it's
unbelievable.
What a fucking mess here. So he's arraigned.
That's not mine.
He's arraigned with 2 women, and a man who are also in the car. They said the inspector here says, quote, "When inspectors first examined the vehicle, they determined Probert's immigration document had expired and observed empty beer and liquor containers." So that's the official statement right there.
Mm-hmm.
So cocaine in his underwear, not great.
Why does it keep making me laugh?
That's going to be the title of the show. Yeah. There's cocaine in my underwear. I think that's going to be. The National Hockey League has a statement.
Okay.
They said, quote, "It is the long-established policy of the NHL that if one uses or is caught with illegal drugs, he will be suspended."
I wish that you would have edited that and said, "It is the long-standing position of the NHL that anything in your
underwear is yours. You own it. We're sorry." That should be. We should all take that. We talk. People say the golden rule. Yeah. That's the golden rule. If it's in your underwear, it's yours. That's it. Sorry. Fuck. All yours.
Right.
Wow.
This is a long-standing position of the NHL. I don't know if you know that.
I don't know if you know this, but anything found in a player's underwear belongs to that player, and they will be disciplined accordingly. So he's got bigger problems than worrying about the NHL because this charge carries a maximum of 20 years in prison.
Holy shit!
And a $1 million fine on conviction. Because right away,
international.
They're saying you're trafficking right now. You're smuggling. So that's a problem.
Oh boy!
In the beginning here, he pleads not guilty.
This is nice.
God, what else are you going to do? He's released after posting a $5,000 cash bond.
Mm-hmm.
He's ordered to remain in the United States pending a preliminary examination. Still 23 years old right now. So,
wow.
Amazing. Yes. Like I said, this was a long-known thing, basically. There's an article here that I found in the... It's so funny how, especially in the 80s, people were very righteous about this. Like, we're going to kick them out forever, or it was like, we need to help them. But there was a very big chasm in between the two camps of how to deal with players that had drug problems and shit.
Oh, you mean it's like illegal immigration right now?
Kind of like that. It's a little similar. Right. A little... Kind of an analogy there. So,
one side saying we keep them, the other side saying get fucking rid of all of them.
It's kind of So this here, this person says in the article, quote, "Rumors that his problems went beyond alcohol abuse had long been circulating around the National Hockey League and scared off several teams that were interested in acquiring him from the Detroit Red Wings for his size and brute strength. It's unlikely he will ever play in the NHL again."
At 23.
They're saying he's done. He's going to be banned for life, probably. What do you think, Jimmy? You think he's banned for life? Never going to play again, or what?
Maybe
Listen,
like fruit fly's life.
Listen, we will not tolerate our players having too much cocaine.
Right.
An ounce is too much, just so you know. So he's under that. He's good.
Right.
We're bringing him back. The Detroit coach here is upset that they're pissed off he's pissed off at the fans because tons of fans have written the Red Wings blaming them for mishandling him, which, you have a kid that's like 21. You had him since he was 20, 21, 22, 23 years old with a huge drug problem, and you're just like, go to rehab. Oh, no, he came out early. That's fine. Get in the lineup. That's fucked up. You were using him. You're silver-haired, middle-aged white manning him,
you guys
and you're not helping any.
like crazy.
Yeah.
And now he's 23 and possibly threw his life away because everything's easy.
That's exactly right. The coach said, quote, "If his career is over, the first question I asked myself today is, what is he going to do? All he had was hockey. He's not a jerk. I'm sad. I stuck with him to the end, and unfortunately, that end turned out to be very negative. We never mishandled Probert." So I love him and he's great, but in the end, that was, I did nothing wrong.
Right.
This is not my responsibility.
He's a great kid.
Apparently they had been trying to trade him in recent months, but nobody really offered much because they were like, let's see how his rehabs all work out here.
Also, he's got coke in his drawers.
That's another thing, too. Have you checked his underwear lately? The general manager said, quote, "Maybe getting him away from the environment in Windsor where he grew up would have helped him, but we wouldn't have paid much of a price for him, and evidently other teams felt the same way." So they're like, maybe, I don't know, don't go home and hang out with your old buddies when you're suspended from the league. That sort of thing. They said they asked the GM if the Wings had suspected him of using drugs, and the GM said, quote, "That would be accurate to say." Well, then what were you doing about it? He said, quote, "There will be a fallout and ramifications from this, and screening might be something the players want. I don't think any of our players would be worried about testing for drugs. We're proud of our league's image and not having a problem with drug use, and we want to keep it that way."
Right.
Your image is that you don't have a problem with drug use, but from all these stories, we know Huge problem with drug use in the 80s. Huge problem. All the way back.
So much.
All the way back to the first fucking hockey guy we ever did.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's probably why the U.S. beat Russia that year.
Yeah. No, it's
They're
true.
all on coke.
That's what I mean. But it was all the way back in the 70s that we were talking about this, and these guys were taking coke and doing a lot of coke. And in the 80s, the guy said, what was it like? He said 1/4 of the players do coke and all that kind of shit. It was like not
all the all-stars.
Yeah, it was, the guys who skate real fast, all those guys.
Right.
So then, wow, he says that. Then they're talking about possibly a screening test in the collective bargaining agreement. Maybe we'll do that sort of thing. Then a Blackhawks player said, quote, players have to watch themselves closely because all kinds of people want to be their friend and be attached to the so-called star. You go out in society and temptations are there. We're not angels. I like to have a beer as much as the next guy, but we have to stay aware that associating with people who take drugs is as bad as taking them. Guilty by association. It's sad someone with Probert's talents had to do this to himself, but if he's guilty, he should be banished. We have to keep drugs out of the game. It's a tough position to take, but my son is going to ask me about it, and there's no question how it should be handled.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. What
Don't bring your kid into this, you fuckface.
No, that's a player saying it, but whatever. But there's so much hypocrisy going on in that statement completely. It's just fucking ridiculous. Just like for anybody in athletics to snipe at anybody else in athletics for drugs or for steroids or for anything they fucking do when everybody's doing weird shit and they're all trying to get an edge and they'd all cheat if they could find that 1% in that they could use. They'd
or
do
that
it.
one thing that isn't caught. You know what I mean? Or however much you can take before it shows up in a piss test. If they knew all of that chemistry shit, they'd be doing all of it just to get around the piss test.
For
sure.
So
I want to be the best too.
Well, they do polls of athletes, and they did a polls of athletes saying if you could take steroids and you know it would get you, they asked like potential Olympic hopefuls, you know it would get you an Olympic gold medal and you know you'd never get caught, would you do it? And it's like 88% of them said yes because they're trying to fucking win. That's the bottom line. I don't know. So the coach here, Demers, said, quote, I was shocked at his latest trouble because it was drugs. If I got a call and they said that Bob Probert was drunk, I'd say, oh, he's done that again? But drugs, this is something completely different.
No, it's not.
So, we knew he had tons of problems. That was March 3rd.
When he was 20, he called that shit magic. We're talking about 3 years later.
Cocaine is magic. Right. It was awesome. March 5th, NHL President John Ziegler expels Probert from the league. It's fucking funny. It's expulsion for life unless Probert is exonerated of the charges. The president didn't wait to speak to Probert. He just did it. They said, quote, when I see a 23-year-old kid who's throwing his career away, it's sad, but it's out of our hands. Bob's going to go away for a while.
Yeah.
So that's a little cold-blooded here. Joey Coker, the other goon from around the league, said, quote, these things just kept going on and on. They didn't stop. But the Bob Probert saga is over with now. He's gone. He's gone, Jimmy.
He's 23,
They're
bro.
acting like he died.
Right.
It's over. He's gone. Never going to see him again.
That's like somebody saying that after fucking Johnny Manziel got kicked out of the fucking league. It's not over.
It's not over.
He's not dead. He's still on TMZ every day.
Especially because this guy was actually a good player.
Right.
So it's definitely not over if he's a good player. If he's a shit player, it's over.
If he's 5'8", doing fucking counting dollar bills and shit, it's over for him.
6'3", 225.
It ain't over.
It ain't over.
He's coming back.
He had 12 fights that year. Not bad, including a doubleheader on January 15th against Jeff Chychrun, which was Chychrun? I can't remember how to say that still from the goddamn 80s. Every goddamn time
Don't
we
look
fight.
at me.
The team loses to Chicago in the playoffs here. The team Red Wings officials said they knew that it was rumored that Probert had widened his alcohol addiction into cocaine and were not surprised by the news of his arrest. Now they're not surprised.
Yeah.
They said Probert had refused the team's offers to get him help over his drug problem. He denied he used cocaine at all. He's not allowed to apply for reinstatement into the NHL until his legal case is closed. So over the course of the next year, holy shit. He goes through extensive rehab. He serves a 90-day jail sentence, resulting in pleading guilty to federal drug smuggling charges.
Oh, boy.
So now he's a convicted federal drug smuggler. Right. That's not good. He only does 90 days for that, though. He does his prison time 90 days. coke in your balls.
There's a guy that got caught 3 times. It's hearing that going, that motherfucker.
There's a black guy who got caught with 2 crack rocks that's doing fucking 20 years because of the powder to rock differential in the sentencing. Oh, it's 100-1 in powder to rock.
Holy shit.
Obama tried to roll back some of that when he was in office, and I don't know what they're doing with it now. I'm sure Jeff Sessions, I don't give a fuck what your political persuasion is. If you like Jeff Sessions, I don't know why you're listening to this show. If you like old, weird fucking Southern guys who say, weed is the devil, you probably shouldn't be listening to this fucking show. But that was the rule, though.
Racist elf.
Well, that was the rule, was black people have crack. Let's sentence them 100-1 on coke, on weight. So it's ridiculous. So that was the sentencing guidelines is how it worked.
What a law.
So he's 90 days for you if you're a white Canadian hockey player, though, who's smuggling that into the country.
Already ground it up and
no
still
problem.
brought the grinder.
No problem. He serves his time in a federal penitentiary in Rochester, Minnesota. The Reverend Jim Baker was there with him.
Okay.
The guy who got busted for, Tammy Faye's husband.
Piece of shit.
Yeah. Apparently he said
he's there.
He called him a cool guy.
Yeah,
of course. He gets out. He's released from prison. He gets out and starts skating again on March 5th, 1990. So that's a year to the day after he's told by the league to go pound fucking rocks here. 2 days later, the wheels are moving fast. The U.S. Immigration and Naturalization Service grants him a 90-day work permit. So that's how quick that went through the system. This enables him to work in the U.S. despite being a convicted felon.
Wow.
Yep. He's then after earning his work permit, he is reinstated by the NHL 3 days later. Gone forever.
Banned.
We will
for
not
life.
put up. He's gone. Jimmy Bob's gone now. So it's like he was dead.
Go with God, Bob.
Go with God. Jesus Christ, man. So he's only allowed to play. In the beginning, he was only allowed to play in games in the United States until the U.S. Immigration Services dropped his orders to have him deported, if he were to enter the U.S. from Canada. Okay. So he had a lot of border problems and situations and all this shit. Back to 1989, okay? When he was arrested, he finished his sentence in a Detroit halfway house, which sounds terrible. That sounds fucking awful.
It does. Sounds worse than prison.
Yeah. He got clearance from his probation officer and halfway house director to return to practice on March 19th, 1990.
Okay.
This is and made his debut on March 22nd, 1990. So he started skating with the team 2 weeks before that. Now he's ready to play in the NHL.
Unbelievable.
He scored a goal in that game versus Minnesota, and in each of his next 2 games he had a goal also. He says this whole experience made him a better person.
Yeah.
I would say so. And judging from the later part of his career, I don't think he got much better, though. No. That's the only difference. No, I don't think so. So he's finally released from a Detroit halfway house on May 2nd, 1990. Saga averted. Problem over. It's all done.
All set.
All set. He's good now. Fine.
Oh,
he played in 4 games in 1989-90. Had 3 goals, like we said.
How does this happen?
No assists. Did get in 3 fights, though, so he managed to get that in. That's good. Good for you, buddy. Detroit misses the playoffs. A little distracted, maybe. That's a big deal. Probert confesses at this point, during this period, that he was, quote, buying cocaine by the ounce, 28 grams for $800 a week.
Wow.
So that's what he's doing. Another rehab stint follows after this. Yeah. So he gets busted for smuggling coke. He gets kicked out.
Yeah.
They reinstate him into the league. And then he's still doing it. And they're like, that's fine. See you when you get back. No problem.
Holler at us.
Not only that, he went to rehab and, quote, I only lasted a week. He didn't even finish the fucking program. Didn't even finish a program. Around this time, Danny's father, girlfriend.
The girlfriend, yeah.
Her father, Jim, apparently offered to take Bob to Bolivia where they could, quote, do the best of the best cocaine in the world.
Oh, my God.
Jesus fucking Christ. What is happening?
They're going on vacation to do blow now.
They're going on coke tourism trips. What the fuck is that? Holy shit. So 90-91 season, he plays in 55 games, 16 goals, 23 assists, 315 penalty minutes. God damn. At least he didn't miss time for a rest this year.
Yeah.
He had a broken left wrist. He collided with Ed Belfour during a game in December versus Chicago. and he was hurt for a little while there. And then he was suspended for one game for receiving his second stick-related major penalty and game misconduct of the year, which is a cross-check or a slash or something like that. So he's suspended there, and he suspended that year also a game during the 1991 playoffs for sucker punching a goalie.
Awesome.
For sucker punching Blues goalie Vincent Raindow during Game 2 of the series against St. Louis. So he's still a fucking menace.
Yeah.
And on the ice, he got in 23 fights that year. Highlights being Jeff Bukaboom again. Two different guys on November 27th. I love when they fight two different people in the same fucking game.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Fights Grant Jennings twice on February 13th. And then February 16th, he's fighting Neil Wilkinson. So it just, again,
keeps it going.
Fight. Loses. They end up losing that series to St. Louis in the playoffs. 91-92 season, 63 games played, 20 goals, 24 assists, 276 penalty minutes. Wow, that's a lot. Again, he fights 20 times that year. Fights Stu Grimson a lot, who's another enforcer. Loves Stu Grimson. Has nothing but good things to say about him,
really?
From what I imagine. Or was he the one he hated? I can't remember now. He might have hated him. Anyway, he fought him 5 times that season. Wow. That's a lot of fights.
Yeah.
Also fights Marty McSorley, Ty Domi, basically Berube.
Yeah.
He goes through. It's like a King of the Ring for the NHL Goon Squad that year.
It's a Royal Rumble every year.
Every single year. They say he goes 10-1-6 in his 20 fights this year. There are a couple unfairs in there. Apparently, both of them against Sean Cronin on October 23rd were both unfair. I will attack him twice in a game, thank you. Unfairly. They lose to the Chicago Blackhawks in the divisional round of the playoffs. This is the year 92. He gets his first Harley and gets into riding bikes.
His first one.
His first Harley, because now, he needs something else that's unsafe to do. He
doesn't have a car license.
The last thing this man needs is a motorcycle.
Right.
Like some people,
or
it's
the first thing he needs.
No, well, if he wants to split his head open like a fucking egg all over the ground.
Could solve a lot of problems.
I can't picture him with a helmet on, put it that way. 92-93, plays in 80 games, 14 goals, 29 assists, 292 penalty minutes. Holy shit. 21 fights. Fights Rudy Pocek that year, who we talked about a lot during the Rudy Pocek episode, if you go back and listen to that one.
Which is why we did him. So we could talk a lot about him.
A lot about him. Back with Stu Grimson, Marty McSorley, Ty Domi, Craig Baru. It's just a dance card.
Yeah.
It's just a rotating dance card. It's like, look, it's a small town. Yeah. The dances all have the same people. Right. We just got to keep trading partners because otherwise, what are we going to do here? Right. We're running out of people. They lose to Toronto in the playoffs that year. July 1st, 1993, he marries Danny.
Okay.
So marries her.
She put in her time.
Absolutely. Probert describes his wedding night as a celebration of cocaine use.
Yeah.
So that's nice.
Her dad loves it.
Her dad loves it. He loves it. Mm-hmm. This is going to be a big coke night, I have a feeling.
They're catered with Bolivian.
How do you okay, you're like a 24-year-old kid.
Right.
How do you broach the subject with your girlfriend's father that you're a huge fucking coke monkey? How does that come up? To where you want to, it's not like, hey, you like scotch? Right. I like to have a scotch once in a while.
I imagine it's very similar.
To Bolivia?
It's probably very similar to I Tug Outdoors. You just start doing it. And if they're into it, they'll do it.
But you don't whip a line out in front of your girlfriend's dad.
I think you do.
You'd expect him to then kick you out of his home.
Or you just chop up a line, and then you look at him and go, are you cool?
Are you cool? You cool?
He says cool a lot. I'll bet he said it.
Yeah, you cool?
You cool?
You cool?
How
Either
cool
that,
are you?
I can see that if he's 35.
Yeah.
But at 19...
I see it.
That's a little crazy. So, wow.
It'd be a lot cooler if you were.
So, 93-94, 66 games, 7 goals, 10 assists, 275 penalty minutes. Holy shit again. 23 fights for him that year. Over 20 fights a year. Joey Coker, Ty Domi, Tony Twist, the usual suspects here. You know how that goes. 12-3-7 in these fights. They lose to the San Jose Sharks in the playoffs with their terrible turquoise colors.
The ugliest jerseys.
The turquoise. But stop using turquoise.
It's not fucking threatening.
In the 90s, turquoise was a big deal for some reason. I don't know what happened.
That and purple.
Purple and turquoise, because they were colors that no one else was using. That's what they did.
Remember when the Kings were red, white, and blue?
Well, they sat around and go, everybody's using black, and everybody uses red and blue. What don't? Turquoise.
Right.
No one uses purple and turquoise. Right. And the Diamondbacks said, I'll use them both.
Dare us.
You've gone too far.
Right. Remember when the fucking Sacramento Kings were fucking red, white, and blue, and then all of a sudden they're black and purple?
Yeah, it's so weird.
And it looks dumb.
It does look stupid, yeah. July 94-95 season here into that.
Oh, my God. The Grizzlies and Raptors did it, too.
Oh, yeah.
The two expansion teams, both of them turquoise and purple.
The Marlins had turquoise. The Rockies had purple.
Fucking Jaguars and the fucking Panthers.
Turquoise. Any team from the 90s that was expansion, they had purple or turquoise or both in their colors.
Goddamn Pelicans just did it.
Everyone.
Jesus.
It's not black, white, or red. That's all it is. Or blue. That's idiots. Regular blue.
Stop it.
Stop, you idiots. July 15th, 1994, Probert crashes his motorcycle into a car.
Oh, boy.
So, I mean, this is what he needs now is a motorcycle. He suffers minor injuries. It's in West Bloomfield Township, Michigan. The problem is that at the time of the accident, his blood alcohol level was 0.31.
Holy shit, that's a lot.
Way higher. That's like 4 times the legal limit, basically, there. That's not great. This is 2 days after he was pulled over for erratic driving and had been unable to produce a driver's license. Oh, I don't know, because he doesn't fucking have one because he keeps getting it taken away.
Right.
Now, at the time of this accident, Probert had been ruled an unrestricted free agent there, and the general manager of the Red Wings at this point decides that he's not going to make any more contract offers to Probert. They're going to give up on him.
Yeah.
He says, quote, this is the general manager, quote, "This is the end. In my 12 years with the organization, we've never spent more time on one player and his problems than we have on Probert." So they said, fuck off. July 23rd, 1994. This is 8 days later. He signs a free agent deal with the Blackhawks.
Oh, shit.
You think maybe they give him a 1-year deal, make him prove himself that he can keep it together.
90 days?
4 years, $6.6 million.
Holy shit.
Which in hockey in the 90s, it's a fuckload of money.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. 4 years, $6.6 million. He's fine. I'm sure he's good. I mean, this is just the same recurring behavior he's had since he was, 16.
Right.
But we think it's going away now, even though 8 days ago.
$6 million ought to cure him.
That'll usually you give when people have a lot of problems, especially with drugs, alcohol, excess in general, ego. What you do is you give them a shitload of money, and then it just stops it right away. They feel humble then.
That ought to plug the bleed.
Wow. So that is the 25th of July. July 27th, 94. Maybe they should have waited for this shit to play out, the Blackhawks. Formal DUI charges against him are followed, and the blood tests reveal that he also had cocaine in his system.
Oh, my God.
Maybe wait for the blood test to come back, Chicago.
But in the 90s, did they know they was doing a blood test? Do you know what I mean?
I don't know.
They may not have even known that was happening.
They were probably, too, if there's a rumor that another team's going to sign him, they're like, fuck it, let's take the chance now. Let's get him before. Once he hits the market clean, if he gets out of this, then he's going to be, people are going to want him here. Now, the charge, he was facing up to 3 months in jail. His lawyers disputed the police's procedures and evidence collection. Police had another take on the story, though. They said that Probert had threatened officers and workers at the hospital as they tried to draw his blood. A police report said that Probert threatened to kill the arresting officers.
I believe him.
Not terrific. So August 8th, 1994, he has a hearing with Commissioner Gary Bettman, who he hates and has nothing but bad things to say about, and all hockey fans hate him.
Bettman's a piece of shit anyway.
Everyone hates him. This is to determine the extent of his punishment. Right around this time, he has a son, Brogan, is born.
What?
He has a kid
named
Brogan.
Yeah.
Yes.
What is that?
I have no idea.
What the fuck?
I'm going to chalk it up to
that?
Canadian English people.
All right.
So September 2nd, 94, NHL announces that Probert is suspended indefinitely and can't be reinstated until he's completed a drug rehab program.
Again.
Because we know how well those work on him. He's ordered to enter the ASAP Family Treatment Center in California. Minimum of 28 days, they're saying, but he ended up spending 6 months at the center.
Whoa.
6 months before he applies for reinstatement into the league, which at the time, though, they were dealing with a lockout then, so it didn't matter anyway.
28 days stretched to 6 months.
6 months. That's how many problems he had. He's finally reinstated into the league on April 28th, 1995. So he's been such a fucking mess.
Yeah.
I mean, Christ almighty, they're saying like he gets out. I hope he wasn't drunk in the flight back to Chicago now. I mean, he's got now, too, with the labor lockout, he's got to sit around and fucking wait for this shit.
Yeah.
What does he do during the day? What is a guy like? Because you picture Probert, he's just like this hellraiser.
Wandering around the yard looking for drug-addicted women to fuck.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
She looks dirty.
Yeah.
I think I could put it in her quick.
Yeah.
I don't think she'll charge me nothing or anything.
Right.
So, like at night, you picture him. It's easy to picture him at night, out just raising hell, drinking and fucking throwing glasses against the wall
In
and
a gown.
punching cops and shit. Like, you picture him wilding in it, but during the day, what does he do? I picture him just like sitting in the park, like Bubbles in The Wire. Never mind.
Oh,
Fuck.
Damn it.
Like Bubbles when he's sitting there recovering from his heroin addiction. He's starting to notice the sounds and the smells and the sights and the colors of the park. And he's like, I never noticed this shit when I was high. He doesn't say it, but he says it with his eyes because he's a really good fucking actor. Anyway, watch The fucking Wire. Back to this shit. So he's sitting around. It's really weird. And he's... he's just in the park one of these days, and I hope he doesn't have a bag with like a booze in it, that sort of thing. But he's just sitting around, he's drinking.
In his underwear?
But hopefully not. Hopefully not. He had his clothes on, I believe, at least this day, and he hears some dogs barking.
Oh, boy.
And he likes dogs, so he turns around, and it's Bobby Colorado, animal trainer from Fredericksburg, Texas. And he says... How is it you come to arrive here? Listen, you fucking moron. I'm not going to talk to you for a minute. Don't you get up and threaten me, you big son of a bitch. You don't know who the fuck you're dealing with here. Yeah, that's right. Now, don't worry about the dogs. I got other things besides the dogs. You don't know where I know I'm from Fredericksburg, Texas, but that's a whole other thing. We're not going to get into it right now. Let's just say you don't want to touch Bobby Colorado. I'm just going to say that right now.
Heel, Bruno, heel.
Things could happen.
Right.
Let's just say that. It's going to happen. But I wonder, what the fuck is wrong with you? You're putting cocaine in your fucking balls? What are you? What's wrong with you? Cocaine in your fucking balls. First of all,
ridiculous.
Even if they didn't strip search you, you know what they got at the border, guy? You know what they got to find drugs? Dogs, you fucking moron. Look at him right here. He'd sniff his balls. Hey, come on, sniff his fucking balls. All right, your balls are clean right now, so I'm going to let you go on this one. But I got to go. The dogs are pulling me, and I got to shit all over the place. But I get your fucking shit together. Get out of here. Poof. In a poof of marinara sauce and dog shit, he's gone. And Probert is very confused, and he looks at his booze bottle like a homeless person in a sitcom who just saw a bewitched lady disappear. I got to stop drinking.
Yeah.
Puts it down. Holy shit. So 95-96 season, he plays in 78 games, 19 goals, 21 assists.
Wowza.
237 penalty minutes, so he's cooking there, too. That's a lot, man.
I can't believe how much he fights.
So much. 26 fights this year. A lot of Ty Domi. Fights Ty Domi like 4 times. Joey Coker a bunch of times. All your usual suspects. Tony Twist. All of his dance partners. I mean, he misses them, I feel like, and they get together.
Well, Twist dances the Twist best.
Well, I feel like while they're fighting, because they kind of go around in a circle punching, I feel like guys like this that know each other well are like, they sock the guy and then they're like, so how's the kids? Poof, good. How's the wife? Pow. How's that new lake house? Pow, it's all right. Not bad. Taxes are off. Boom, all right. Well, my kid's in private school. That really sucks. Poof, that sucks. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. And then they punch each other. I feel like that's how it works.
That's how they just catch up on old times.
That's it. Right. That's how they do it. There, he's 13-5-5 over the course of the year on fighting. They lose to Colorado in the playoffs. So that's not wonderful. 96-97 season, plays in all 82 games.
Okay.
So for the first time, has 9 goals, 14 assists, 326 penalty minutes.
Jesus.
Christ almighty. That year he fights Tony Twist, Ty Domi, Joey Coker, all the usual suspects, and he fights Patrick Cote.
All right.
Another one of our friends who had a crazy fucking episode. He's had such a crazy episode. He got shot in prison.
Right.
Listen to that episode.
It's ridiculous.
Ridiculous. That's absolutely asinine.
Oh, I just remembered what he did, too.
Yeah, he's a fucking idiot. Listen to the episode. It's crazy.
That's ridiculous.
What a
so
moron.
Stupid.
So stupid. So they lose to Colorado in the playoffs. That year. there. 1997 in July, they have a daughter named Tierney, the couple here. 97-98 season, he plays in 14 games, 2 goals, 1 assist, 48 penalty minutes. That's because he misses a large part of this season due to injuries. He tears cartilage and sprains his MCL in his right knee in October, and he had arthroscopic surgery, comes back and tears his right rotator cuff.
Oh, no.
Tears it in a fight with Sandy McCarthy. So there's fights to that. He still keeps playing for another week, and then he re-aggravates it in another fight a week later.
Got it.
And he has major surgery on it December 3rd, 1997, and he can't come back to action until April 4th, 1998. 1998. So that year, though, he still manages to fight Ty Domi twice and Patrick Cote once and a few other guys. And he gets his shots in, we'll put it that way. The team doesn't make the playoffs, Chicago, the Blackhawks. This is the first time, this is 1998, the first time they don't make the playoffs since the 1967-68 season.
Whoa.
It's the longest run of a professional sports franchise making the playoffs they had for
And then they had a long stretch without, right?
Yeah, they don't make the playoffs for like the next 5 years.
Yeah.
And then now they win the fucking Stanley Cup all the time. I feel like I don't pay much attention to hockey, but whenever I do,
they just won like
people
2
in
years
Chicago,
ago. Right.
whenever I do, people in Chicago are bragging and wearing shirts that say they're the champions. So I don't know. We've been to Chicago twice. I've seen a lot of champion Blackhawks shit everywhere. So 1998-99 season, 78 games, 7 goals, 14 assists, 206 penalty minutes.
It was ridiculous, by the way, Chicago's team.
That's a lot.
There's no other sport or team that sounds so goddamn inappropriate. You cannot have a team damn near called the Blackhawks. You can't do that.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
They have
it's
the Redskins,
so dumb. It's not near as fucking
Blackhawks.
Yeah, it's so close.
It sounds a little bit like that.
It's too much.
It's a very close to the. My grandmother would confuse it. And she'd say it's shiny like the skin of the seal.
Right.
So that year he has 22 fights, which is a lot, including 3 against Patrick Cote.
Yeah.
So they get into it quite a bit. He's 6-7-7 in his fights that year. A lot of draws, a lot of just not.
He's falling off.
He's falling off, man. The young guys are coming up.
He's not so good anymore.
He's a little fat and happy now. He's not. He's like Mike Tyson after he got a tiger. You know what I mean? He's like, I just don't have the same drive that I used to.
When he had a tiger and 700 pigeons, it just didn't matter anymore.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
99-2000 season, 69 games played, 4 goals, 11 assists, 114 penalty minutes. March 11, 2000, he becomes the 6th NHL player in history to record 3,000 career penalty minutes.
Wow.
He achieves that feat at a game versus Florida. 6th in history.
6th in history.
In history.
Since the game started.
To have that many. He fights Rudy Pocek that year, contributes to some of his brain damage that will contribute to his later problems.
Sure.
I've seen those fights, too. They were brutal. May 2nd, 2000, his wife has twins, Declan and Jack.
He is really bad at naming babies.
He really is.
They got Jack. That's normal.
That's fine.
But Declan, Tierney, and Brogan? What the fuck?
4 kids. Are those Irish names?
I don't
feel
know.
like they're very Irish.
They're very dumb names is what they are.
Just a little weird. A little off. But they're Canadian. What are you fucking off from these people? 2000, 2001. 79 games, 7 goals, 12 assists, 103 penalty minutes. He fights Patrick Cote. He fights Stu Grimson. Fights a lot less, though. Only 10 fights that year in 79 games. I feel like maybe he wasn't on the ice as much. Had to be because that's just.
He has 4 kids at home. He doesn't fucking.
That's true. He's not
tired. I can't fight.
I fight with the kids too much. I don't have it in me.
Twins.
But 2001, 2002, 61 games. He has 1 goal, 3 assists, 176 penalty minutes, and manages to squeeze 19 fights in that year.
Boy.
Not too shabby. He fights Jody Shelley a lot. He fights Jody Shelley 3 times on January 10th.
On one night.
3 times. A draw, a loss, and a win. So, good for you. And then he fights him 2 days later, the same guy,
do they
January 12th.
throw hats on the ice for that one?
That should be.
That's a nice hat trick.
Not too fucking bad. So he fights Jody Shelley 4 times in 3 days. That's amazing. That's a lot of fighting for one guy. Not too shabby here. Now, November 16th, 2002, Chicago places him on waivers, and he is not claimed by any other NHL team for a minute here. So he chooses to announce his retirement since nobody wants him. I guess he's, if you don't want me, I don't want you, damn it. I'm retiring. So he announces his retirement. He actually doesn't come back and play like some, weird minor league shit like a lot of these guys do. He announces his retirement after 935 games played, 163 goals, 221 assists, and 3,300 penalty minutes.
That's so much.
That's
3,300?
He is even,
wow.
Which is pretty cool. He is number 4 all time in penalty minutes.
Wow.
All fucking time.
He spent 55 hours in the penalty box.
Yeah.
55 hours.
That's a lot of hours in the penalty box, just chilling. That's so many hours, honestly. Where do you spend that many hours? He had fight-wise.
Yeah.
Now, we fight boxers who have like 55 fights are like, oh, man. I mean, I know they pound on each other over the course of 12 rounds, but it's with gloves on and that. Right. MMA fighters were like, ooh, they fight too much. This guy had 368 fights, none of which had anything between bone and face.
Right.
Bare-fisted, fucking 368 bare-fisted brawls on ice.
How many teeth do you think he knocked out?
He probably had
Nose
one left.
Broken.
And he had,
eyes is
smeared shit.
His eyes? Wow.
His eyes are shattered. But I mean, guys just socking each other in the fucking face here. So not too fucking shabby. Career totals here, 160, 50, and 70.
Not bad.
We'll call in the fights. So yeah, one more than he lost.
Yeah.
That's 18 unfair fights or pummeled people. So the next day, he's announced as a Chicago radio analyst. The Blackhawks are hiring him to do, like color on the radio, basically. That is November 16th of 2002. February 4th, 2003, leaves his radio job to go to rehab.
He's got to leave the radio to
Can't
go to
do
rehab.
It. I can't show up. And
I can't sit and talk.
I can't put a fucking sweatshirt on and talk about that guy's stick handling for 3 hours at night. I'm that fucked up. I'm that much of a disaster.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
Nobody's ever done that. Dick Ebersol never walked away to go to rehab.
No, they're like, muscle through it. Just talk. What are you doing?
Marv Albert only did it because he beat up a hooker or something, didn't he?
Yeah, some shit like that. Well, he bit somebody in the ass. Some shit like, it was ass biting going on.
Well, yeah, he forced some anal. I think that's what it was.
I just remember a thing with teeth marks being matched to his mouth, a woman's ass
there
with
was
teeth
biting
marks.
and he was forcing anal on people.
A lot of talk about his rug. So I remember some people like, Marv Albert wears a rug? It's like, what are you kidding me?
That was the first time that it was like,
Marv Albert wears a rug. It says, if you look at him from above, it says welcome on the top of his fucking head. Are you kidding me? He's got to wear a fucking rug. Yeah, that's a rug. Jesus Christ.
Unbelievable.
Assholes.
Home sweet home across his
head. No, that's, that shit.
It says, please wipe your paws.
Yeah. People are like, he's got a different one every day. It's like his yarmulke. You can switch it out a little bit, except, it's his hair.
People didn't know.
It's his fucking hair helmet thing that he wears.
Yeah. But I think the question was that a lot of people wanted to know was, did he take it off to bite her in the ass?
I would think not.
You would assume not, right?
I would assume,
it glued on?
Okay, if you're gonna try to go at a woman in that way, okay, you want to make everything as attractive and as just in that direction as possible. What you do not want to do is take your hair off, and then come at him with the 4 scraggly hairs you have left on your head sticking up in the air, with your underwear on and a bottle of lube in one hand, going, "You like it in the butt, right?" I think it's over at that point. I think it's over.
She says no, and you gnaw on her arm.
Come on, what the fuck? So
just your underwear. At that, underwear and socks for sure.
Oh, yeah.
He definitely wears socks.
Big, long boxer shorts down to the knees, baggy, long, striped boxer shorts, black socks, and those things that hold up your black socks that go around your knees, the stirrup things that he comes at you like that with his hair off. The butt, right?
And he better answer the door like that, because if he looks like Marv Albert and then goes, "I gotta get changed," goes in the bathroom and comes out like that troll, holy shit! I'd call the police.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's got to go out like that. So February 4th,
negotiation tactics. Holy shit!
That's awesome. So February 4th, 2003, like I said, he left his radio job, goes to rehab. June 4th, 2004, Delray Beach police officers spot Probert. He is parked in his white BMW SUV the wrong way on a downtown side street and begins hanging out of his window to yell at several men at 1 a.m.
Oh, boy.
Bad things happening there. 4 officers intervene when, they watched it for a minute, the cops. Let's see what happens here. Then when Probert got out of his car and tried to start a fight with the 4 men, the cops said, okay, let's get 4 of us and go walk over there and quell the situation. So they go over there. Probert then fought with the officers.
Oh, no.
Because I'm fighting someone.
I'm fighting 4 guys tonight, one way or the other.
You won't let him fight you? It's you 4 then. Fuck it. Bring it on. Let's do this.
Fresh legs. Let's do it.
He fought with them. He refused to take their orders and drop to the ground. He refused to do anything. 2 of the officers are struggling to handcuff him. He's a big, crazy, drunk, wild guy. And finally, after a couple minutes of this, Officer Thomas Tolbert says, fuck this, and shoots him with a taser.
Yes.
Fuck this guy.
Yeah.
Tases him. Probert falls backwards, but then after a minute, he redoubles his efforts. Persisted and keeps going after them. They try to handcuff him. He's not having it, so they have to tase him, quote, several more times.
Oh, my God.
So lots of times.
How many times do you think it took?
I don't know, but several. Enough to where in the report they didn't even list an amount. Just a shitload. A shitload. They finally get him handcuffed after God knows how many tasings. They handcuff him. They take him into custody. Police spokesman says, quote, he was so combative in our jail that we didn't take a booking photo of him because we didn't want to struggle with him again out of handcuffs. They didn't even get a mugshot of him because that's how crazy he is. Too crazy for mugshots. Wow.
That's intense.
Fuck, man. That's nuts. He's charged with battery on a law enforcement officer, resisting arrest with violence, and disorderly conduct. He's held without bail for a while at the Palm Beach County Jail. Oh, no shit.
In Florida. Great.
In Florida. He lists his home address as Chicago and his business address as Delray Beach. A hotel employee said Friday that he was no longer working out of there. Okay. So apparently that's where he listed his office, which I don't know what the fuck his business was in Delray Beach. No clue. So July 1st, 2005, that was June 4th, that was June 2004. July 1st, 2005, in an really weird incident that ends up getting dropped later on due to film of it coming out, and that he didn't do what the cops said he did. He's arrested for assault on a police officer, basically. Yeah. He starts some shit, but then the cops say that he did a couple things that he didn't do on camera. Yeah. And so due to that, they dropped the charges. He still tried to attack police officers, but they did some shit that they weren't supposed to do and shit like that. So they fucked, that was a total dick move, and they tried to lie and say that he did things he didn't do.
Got it.
What he did was enough. Right. That's enough. Don't try to add extra shit on there. He's got enough fucking problems, this guy.
Dirty. What is this, training day?
Total bullshit there. Total fucking bullshit. So, Jesus Christ. I kind of feel bad for him about that. That's the one thing that he hasn't done where it was like, he still did some shit.
He got a bum deal here, though.
But he got a bum deal on that. But they ended up dropping it in the end, and that was all fine. But, fuck, man. His wife had to pick him up from prison. You know that, to pick him up from jail.
4 kids in the backseat.
And go, you did what? You beat up a cop again.
Another cop?
This time, I swear I didn't do it.
Your dad was a cop.
This is the 3rd time you've been arrested for beating up cops. Kind of a pattern. I don't fucking believe you.
Right.
All the cops are fucking scared of you. The Border Patrol, you fucked over the Red Wings, you stole money from the Blackhawks, you've done a lot of bad shit. I feel bad for all these people, Bob, but not nearly as bad as I feel for Bob Probert, a computer software person in the greater New York City area.
Sorry, Robert Probert.
Sorry, Robert Probert. They go by Bob Probert, these people, on LinkedIn. Bob Probert, report analyst, Excel VBA programmer at Lord & Taylor in the greater New York City area. Okay. He's a report analyst, assistant treasurer at Chase Bank. He was for a while here. Bob Probert, a pilot at British Airways. Lives in London. Poor bastard. A lot of training, a lot of people's lives in his hand. Hopefully he's not shit-faced with a half ounce of coke down his pants.
Beating the shit out of cops as he gets on the plane.
Right? Get out of here, TSA officers scatter. Bob Probert, kitchen staff at McDonald's. In the Toronto, Canada area.
Is that not our guy?
That's not our guy. And finally, Bob Probert, metallurgical fusionary technician.
Holy shit.
At RC Speed in British Columbia, Canada.
That is impressive.
Poor fucking bastard. Bob Probert. Go by Robert, please. Change your name. And there was countless Bob Proberts.
Really?
I could have gone on for days.
Oh, my God. How does that happen?
Could have gone on for fucking days with the Bob Proberts. Very common name, apparently. August 22nd, 2005. Bob is arrested. Are you shocked, Jimmy?
No, not at
You're
all.
Not shocked? No. He's arrested at a bar for violating conditions of his bail. He had been out on bail for the last thing after resisting arrest and assaulting an Ontario officer on that July 1st thing. So police say he was arrested without incident this time. He's arrested at the Johnny Shots Billiards Bar Cafe.
Oh, Christ.
SHOTZ.
Yeah,
Johnny
course.
Shots, which sounds like a classy joint. Yeah, he's charged with violating a condition to not be in a bar, not be in an establishment that serves liquor. He's not allowed to go anywhere there were liquor served.
But he's arrested for that.
He's arrested for that.
So that means there was clearly a disturbance that happened because you don't walk into a bar and they...
You Bob Probert?
Is there a sign on the door that's like, listen, Bobbert Probert, that's not happening.
Listen, Bobbert Probert's going in all these damn bars. They have the Bobbert Probert squad who just goes around bar to bar looking for him.
He's here.
Is he in here? So he's also charged with violating a condition to abstain from consuming alcohol. He's released after paying a $200 Canadian fine.
All right.
So like $8.
Yeah.
No, just kidding. Sorry, Canada. It's not that bad.
I mean, a ball of yarn.
You know. So June 2006. Oh, my God. Probert is asleep on the sidewalk.
Oh, my
okay.
God.
When he's picked up by the police and brought into the station on suspicion of public intoxication. During a routine search, what do they find? 0.5 gram of cocaine in his pocket.
No way.
At least it's not in his underwear, but it's in his pocket. He's charged with possession. But according to his agent and his lawyer here, there was no fingerprint evidence of Probert's on...
Get the fuck out.
The cocaine.
It's not mine.
It said he never touched the packet in question.
Yeah.
His story, this is awesome. This is amazing.
Okay.
2 individuals who had been drinking with Probert that night, he says they stuffed the cocaine into his pocket after he'd passed out and planned to come back for it later.
Like they geocached it in his fucking pants?
Like, we'll leave it in Bob's pants and we'll come back.
He's not going anywhere.
No, Bob never gets drunk and wanders off and gets arrested or anything like that. That'll never happen. So let's just leave a sleeping man in a public place because that's where the cocaine will be safe.
We'll be right back.
Wow. So...
What a
fucking idiot.
What an excuse.
Even if that's true, at the very least, he was out getting so shit-faced that he was asleep on a sidewalk.
Right.
That's way too shit-faced for you, sir. Too much.
And you're hanging out with people that are
doing cocaine.
Right. Which is your problem.
If you're a coke guy who thinks it's magic. I'm going to go ahead and say you're not going to turn it down probably.
You planned on doing coke tonight.
Especially if you're
drinking a bunch. You just passed out before you did it. That's all.
You know why you passed out? You didn't do enough coke. That's why. Because you wouldn't have been as drunk.
There's still coke left over.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Why you're asleep.
So charges later dropped there.
What?
So good for him.
It worked.
I don't know if it was the fact that he was asleep.
How the fuck does that work?
The fact that he was asleep in a park, he's basically the world's receptacle. Anybody could stuff anything into his pocket without him knowing it, apparently. I have no idea. If you're asleep in a park, you turn into a trash bin, basically, and nothing in your pockets is your responsibility because people could just stuff anything in there. What the fuck?
That is a ridiculous rule.
That's the stupidest thing ever. I don't know if that's the rule, but I assume.
Apparently, it's the rule because it worked. You could have came in his mouth and laughed and been like,
I don't know, man. It's fine. Well, yeah, he's not responsible for the contents of his mouth at that point. I think the other person would probably be responsible for something. I don't think you're allowed to do that. But
I think you're right.
That's possible.
But it's in New York. Apparently, you're allowed to do that.
You can just do that.
Train conductors allow it.
Yeah. So 2008, as if things hadn't gotten bad enough for this fucking guy, he has a cameo as a hockey player in the Mike Myers film The Love Guru.
What?
Which is like the worst movie
of
all time.
It's by far the worst Mike Myers movie.
So that's bad. 2009, he's a participant in the Canadian reality show Battle of the Blades.
What is that?
I assume that's some sort of hockey
washed up hockey
thing.
guys?
I have no idea what the fuck that is. Now, 2010.
Yeah.
Let's catch up with Probert. Okay. They talk about he purchased a waterfront property in Lakeshore, Ontario.
How does he?
A town near Windsor. He still has money left. They were planning to build their dream home there. They wanted to be a close family. His mother, his brother, his father-in-law. Jesus, they all live in Windsor.
Yeah.
Keep him away. They have a big house. It's beautiful. A big pool.
Yeah.
He's got a giant like shop thing. It's 1,700 square feet of his garage.
Wow.
He has old Chevy Chevelles, Monte Carlos, a '68 Dodge Charger.
He's killing it.
Bunch of Harleys. He's got a Porsche.
Wow.
All this cool stuff.
And no license.
No license at all. Car parts. All this shit. Just taking cars apart, putting them back together. He's got a big pool, a full-size basketball court in his house. He's just living the life. At this point, though, there's an article talking about, it says, quote, still, after facing off against some serious demons in his life, Probert was in full control.
Okay.
So 2010, this article, he was in full control. One of his friends says, quote, the last 4 years of Probert's life have been clean living. Drugs are out of his life. So is drinking. A family friend says there's still beers in the Probert's fridge, but they're from their 2010 New Year's Eve party.
Okay.
He still hasn't drank them. Probert instead reaches for Coca-Cola.
Okay.
He's just a
Coke.
Wholesome guy.
This one.
Ha ha ha. Right?
Yeah.
He's fine. I mean, that's the last beautiful house, family, Coca-Cola, nothing else, right? That's totally fine. July 5th, 2010, he's dead. He fucking dies.
Of?
Heart attack. massive heart attack. Also, 80% of his artery blocked, and cocaine and Coca-Cola and shit eating and bad living and general terrible lifestyle.
Fucking dead.
He was on a boat near Lake St. Clair, or on Lake St. Clair near Windsor, Ontario, which is the other side, obviously, of Michigan there. He collapsed. Efforts to revive him failed. And he's dead on the fucking boat. Jesus Christ. Probert's father-in-law performed CPR on him, said, this was totally unexpected. Like heart attacks are ever expected?
Right.
We were looking at him, expecting it to pop any time now. Bob lost the fight of his life this afternoon.
You bet he did.
Punning asshole. Yes. Wow.
Now, the fight of his life was against cocaine.
Yeah.
He didn't.
Well,
he lost that too.
He lost all his fights this week or this day. Apparently, in the book, they talk about as an emergency defibrillator was being applied to her. Danny's said that her mind turned to when they last had sex.
What?
Yeah.
Did they defibrillate his dick or something? What is she talking about?
Saying, quote, I tried to remember, or she tried to, it's quoting her, she tried to remember the last time she and Bob had made love.
Why?
What fucking difference does that make?
What are you doing, lady?
He's fucking dead. This is, we have quotes
As
from...
he's bouncing from those electric paddles.
Yeah.
She's going,
we didn't fuck enough. Should have fucked more.
She's got more regrets on his deathbed.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus.
Red Wings silver-haired middle-aged white man owner here said, quote, Bob was a part of our very first NHL draft class that also included Steve, Joey Coker, Peter Klima, and Stu Grimson. Bob was always there for his teammates and was one of the toughest men to ever play in the NHL. He was also one of the kindest, most colorful, and beloved players Detroit has ever known.
Right.
So he was living clean living. Everything was great. Living on the boat near a lake with his family, going on the boat, doing his thing.
Did the silver-haired middle-aged white guy remember the last time that Bob Probert fucked him?
I don't think he does. No, he doesn't. Everything is fine. I mean, it just out of nowhere, sad story. But what was he really doing?
Yeah.
What was he really
How
up
much
to the last few
Bolivian
years?
was on that boat?
Yeah. Well, he'd been prescribed to take 3 OxyContin a day for his pains from playing, but he took at least 8. At least 8. 2 in the morning, 2 after lunch, 2 at dinner, and 2 at bedtime. He would dip the pills in Coca-Cola to dissolve the time-release coating. then chop what was left up into a line. That way it would hit him quicker.
He would snort
He's
the fucking oxys.
He's snorting oxys all day. He even figured out a way around the time release thing where he just he gets the coating off that way.
Yank that shit right off and snort it.
Does that? Yep. He said it would hit him quicker, and his back wouldn't hurt, and his hip flexor wouldn't bother him as much, and he could walk
He's
without
snorting
feeling that.
heroin, James.
Yep. He'd fill a month's prescription, then hand his pills over to his wife because he left it. Because if left up to him, they disappear too quickly. She said when she traveled, she'd hid them all over the house. He would call her each morning, and she'd reveal where she hidden that day's stash.
Wow.
So yeah. That day's stash, he's going to go snort up a bunch of fucking oxys.
What a day.
What a fucking day. She said on Monday, they might be in the cigar box in the office. Tuesdays might be in a baggie taped behind a painting in the family room. It was a good system.
What if she forgot?
That's not a good system.
No.
She's got to write down notes.
Right.
This is not how about a guy who can control himself or, whatever. Finally, he said he wanted to control his own drug and alcohol use, and the wife felt his desire to straighten out. It brought on because the kids were teenagers, and so he wanted to feel accountable. And, he said he had years of rehab and all that sort of thing. He was smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day there. He just hang out in his garage, chain smoking, drinking, doing that sort of snorting oxys. That whole thing.
He's living a dream, though.
He's living some kind. I mean, he's living some sort of weird Peter Pan fantasy, like violent Peter Pan fantasy. Now, October 2010, the book finally comes out. He had a book that was 85% completed when he died.
Yeah.
So it died before it was done. So the wife helped the lady finish it that was writing it. It's called Tough Guy, My Life on the Edge. Okay. And I've read it, obviously. That's why I know he writes like a 4-year-old.
Right.
The wife says about the book when she's doing press for it, because she's trying to promote it now.
Yeah, she's got to sell this shit now.
She needs, he's gone. We need cash here. She said, quote, he didn't hold back. He put it all out there. They said, Jesus Christ, man. She said, quote, with kids nowadays, everybody's so computer savvy. Other kids could go on the computer, Google his name, and come up with something and say something to the kids at school. He wanted the kids to know we were almost always honest with the kids. Things happened. He just wanted to be able to tell his side of what happened. I just wanted to tell my kids how much coke I did, is what they just said. Which is insane.
I wanted to make the excuses for the coke that I did.
Yeah.
I don't want them just going and willy-nilly Google searching.
I had fun doing
Probert.
coke because I thought it was magic.
Right.
I don't want them thinking that.
I don't want them finding the quote, Robert Probert says coke is magic.
Although that was in the book. So that's
but I want it coming out of my mouth.
Yeah, that's what he's going to tell his kids. I want if they're going to find out cocaine's magic, I want to tell them.
I don't want ESPN telling them.
He describes Commissioner Gary Bettman as, quote, an asshole, a friggin' asshole who, quote, ruined the game of hockey and, quote, is supposed to speak for the good of the league, but in my opinion, he's strictly behind the owners. So he hates him. He says he adds how he always fooled the league-mandated drug test, providing inspectors with clean urine samples he just warmed up in the microwave. He'd just get other people to piss and warm it up in the microwave, and now it's human piss.
And then he'd go and cook his kids some Easy Mac in the same microwave.
Like, did I use this bottle? So I got a special piss microwave. Right. Jewish people have meat and dairy, things are separated. I have piss and the kids' shit.
Piss and Easy Mac microwaves.
Now, Danny says that she only decided to go ahead with the project after some soul searching. Mm-hmm. Actually, also bank account searching and realizing that she needed the fucking money because she has 4 kids. So she says that even the sections about their marriage and her husband's infidelities and all that sort of thing, she said, quote, I cringed at a few things and I would ask Christy, who's the author there, well, how did he say it? Sure enough, it was on the tape. Bottom line was I didn't want to change anything he said. I think I just basically helped out with the timeline a little bit, but Bob was completely honest. She said there was no surprises in the book. She said, I lived it, believe me. She said the oldest, by the way, the daughter is Brogan. I thought that was a son for some reason.
The first one was named Brogan.
Brogan, yeah. She, I guess the 16-year-old daughter at that time read the book. And the wife said, Danny said, quote, I let her ask for the book. I didn't want to push it on her. She was interested in it, and she knew Dad was working on that. I think a few things in there, she was like, wow, I didn't know that happened this way. Things like from her childhood, that sort of shit. She also says, quote, this is the wife, Quote, what I'm hoping people take from it is just seeing that he was human. He made a lot of mistakes and that he was just trying to get it right. Getting on the right track, getting back up and doing well. He had his struggles, but he just kept working at it.
We know he's human. You know how we know? Because he's fucking dead.
Because he's dead, and dogs don't wear underwear to hide coke in. So it's another thing. April 11th, 2017. He's been cremated. He was cremated. April 11th, 2017. Danny sprinkles some of his ashes in the penalty box at the where the Detroit Red Wings played there.
That's creepy as fuck.
Which is super weird. The daughter, Brogan, said that she can't think of a better place for her father's ashes, considering he spent countless hours in there.
Yeah, 55.
Or 55 as we counted.
What she should have done is lined up like a fat rail of them on the penalty box ridge and then just fucking snorted it all.
That's snort his ashes. That's for you, Dad. Yeah. That's for you. So,
that's where I thought you were going.
Bob Probert, he's crazy, he's on coke, he's drunk, he's fun, he's wild, and he's dead. Can't get enough of Bob Probert? Buy his book, Tough Guy.
Holy shit.
My Life on the Edge. It's like $10 everywhere.
Yeah.
I bought it for $10. I don't know.
What a story.
You can get Red Wing, a Bob Probert signed Little Caesars hockey card.
Awesome.
I think that they're a Detroit company, so they would sponsor that sort of thing. $39.95 plus $6 shipping.
There aren't many of those, I'm sure.
No. Also, a 90 Upper Deck card autographed is $143.64.
Whoa.
He's dead. I guess
that's a lot.
15% off there, and there's a bunch of cards like that. T-shirts, every kind of T-shirt you can imagine, all sorts of kind of like nostalgic kind of 90s throwback ones where he's got like a big head and shit and stuff like that. You name it, Bob Probert.
I love the Probies that we've got.
Those
awesome.
Are cool
shirts.
There's a lot of cool Probert memorabilia and stuff out there. If you like this crazy bastard, I suggest you go out there and get some of that memorabilia because it's good stuff. And once you're done doing that, if you like the show, go ahead and get over to iTunes and give us 5 stars.
You bet.
Tell us you're following instructions, following directions. It really doesn't matter. It's not for our egos, like we said. If you want to be an even bigger superstar,
you can.
Like our long list of producers that we're going to talk about, our favorite people, you can do that by going to patreon.com/crimeinsports or going to PayPal using our email address, crimeinsports@gmail.com. You want to get a hold of the show at Crime in Sports on Twitter and Facebook. Also, you can go to shutupandgivememurder.com where there's links to all this stuff, donations, merchandise, T-shirts, sayings, you name it, it's there.
Yeah,
all sorts of stuff. Do that and come back and keep seeing us. And let's get to our list of the favorite damn people that we have on this earth, Jimmy, because it's a long one.
It is.
And we love them so much. Jimmy, hit us with that list.
This week was incredible. Thank you guys so much. The executive producers are Susan DeGoya, Aaron Cox, Thomas Spade, Chrissy Ann Castaldi, the color chick. I don't know who that is. I imagine
thank you
Google that.
for your color chick.
Jason Daniels, Travis McCullum, Brianna Becky, I think it is. It might be Beck.
Beck or with the B.
She is fucking amazing.
You're amazing. Thank you so much.
Ridiculous,
we
Brianna.
We want to know how to pronounce your name correctly because you're awesome. Thank you.
It's ridiculous that I'm struggling on that, but I'm going to nail Nilu Rafsanjani.
Yeah,
how
well,
about
we met him. We know him.
Her.
I was thinking of, sorry.
It's all right. She's the bodybuilder in San Francisco.
She's cool as shit. I remember her.
Yeah.
She's totally awesome. I was thinking of Portland.
Oh, yeah.
Cool dude.
I forget his name.
I know his name, too.
The guy moving to the shithole that we covered.
Yes, that's cool dude.
Right.
Yeah, really, really cool guy. I love that guy.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Happy anniversary to Chrissy and Travis Saunders. Chrissy God damn it. Chrissy Saunders and Travis Saunders in Utah. They came to the Phoenix Live show.
Yeah.
Thank you guys both. Happy anniversary.
Yeah, thank
Shelly
you so much.
Trollian, I think it is Trolian. Trollian. That's a difficult one. And I don't
Sounds
whatever.
right. Trollian.
I think I got it. I think it's Trollian. I think so.
Yeah.
And then happy Father's Day to Jeff Terry. I know it's late. We missed last week, but happy Father's Day, man. I hope you had a great day. Way to leave it in there.
Happy Father's Day.
Emily Meany Gilbert, Bree Ryan, Jason Fuller, Craig McGeechan, Tabitha Beyer, Raul Lima, Chelsea Gerleman, Tyler Adkins, Kapow Designs, Cat Power, Abby Hinson, Under the Sea Fabrics, John Codling, Sean Hartley, Ashley View or Vo, Nicolette Kiseleff.
She's awesome. She always donates, and we don't know how to say her name. It's terrible.
I ruined it. It's French.
Yeah.
I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fucking vowels.
Probert.
Right. Kaylee Davis, Patrick Fett or Fetty, Angelia Wells, Jake LeBeer came through again. Thanks, Jake. Mary Faust, Amy Rowlerson, Angela McGovern, Michael Kennedy. That's right, Mike Kennedy.
Mike,
again.
okay. Thanks, man.
Every time I want.
Every time,
I got to get you a new name, man. Jillian Hardy, Heather Norton, Barbara Johnson, Emmy Dumont, Jesse Hartman, that guy, and Ted Cyrus and Jesse.
Yes, thank
you guys are fantastic. Thank you.
Oh my God.
Annalise Del Hall, Laura Fauson or Fausone. Not going to try much harder.
Not going to mess it up.
Right. Crystal Cook, Corey with no last name, Lexi Skelton, Sean Hartley, Gariskus, I think, Cassandra Schro, Chris Karen, Sandra with no last name, Kat with no last name, Nicholas Matthias. Yes. No.
Matthias.
You're probably right.
Maybe. I don't fucking know.
I'm an idiot.
Yeah,
that's all.
We both are idiots. I mean, neither of us can read names.
Tim Holzam, Faison Khan, Faison Khan. That's true.
Cool name.
Chloe Huchula, Tabitha Beyer. I think I said that once. Jordan Merchant, Vicky Yano Shaw. Yes. Yes.
You said like that, like it was confirmed by that person in the room.
I'm positive.
Yes.
Aaron Terrell, Nathan Nolte. That guy's awesome. He's a cop. Thank you, Nathan. Appreciate
Thank you, Nathan.
Lisa McLaughlin, Pickle Bean. That's weird. I knew two guys in high school, one named Pickle, one named Bean.
Yeah.
That's weird. Brianna maybe somebody picked that up.
Probably.
No, maybe. I don't know.
Who the fuck knows?
We called him Pickle because he stood up and walked, and he was really stoned. And somebody goes, if a pickle could stand up and walk, it would walk like you. So then they just called him Pickle forever.
Why a pickle did they pick that?
They were stoned too. That's why.
That's an odd thing to pick. Were you eating pickles?
I would have said dildo.
Was there pickles around?
No, there were no pickles anywhere near.
This doesn't make sense.
Troy Graham, Brianna Shabalin, I think they said that. Mara Spencieri. That's it.
Hey.
Yeah. Thomas with no last name. Brinshindo? No. Brinshido, 39, I think. No. Maybe. Martini?
No, maybe. Possibly.
Martinis and Macabre podcast. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you.
Corey Brax, Troy Huseby, Sarah Carter, Stephanie Wheeler, Luke Young, Vanessa Costner, Hannah Taylor, DBA. No name, just DBA.
Doing business as
I think
a
so.
donor.
Right.
Thank you.
Lisa Harden, Callie Johnson. Yes. Yeah, sure. Megan Perry. Megan Perry, Bryant Toole, Kat Oyala.
Oh, cool.
She's
hey,
terrific.
Kat.
Thanks, Kat. Kate Myers, Stitches and Steel. I don't know what that is. I think it's a business.
I think you should look it up and buy some shit from them. That's what I think.
Stitch or Steel, fucking call them.
Call them up.
Denise Clapp. Hey, stay away from the clap.
Yeah.
Avoid the clap. Jimmy
Avoid
Dugan.
the clap.
That's good advice.
That's good advice. I love that.
Alana
Fernard,
so Francisco Bento, Tony Dodson, Amanda Patravito. Yes. Amanda Patravito.
I love how you celebrate when you think you get yes.
Fucking yeah.
It's not even, yes, that's what it is. It's yes. Got it out.
Lindsay Morse donating some of that Morse code fortune.
Thank you.
Carrie Centeno, Corey Luthan, I think. No?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck it. I'm done.
Luthan?
Jason Scott, Toralf Karji.
What was that last one? Toralf Karji?
Toralf Karji.
All right.
I think so.
Thank you, Toralf.
Lila Blake, Steve Schnell over there in Philly.
Hey,
thanks, Steve. Matthew Jarrett, Austin Fowler, Louisa Williams, Andy Reynolds, Janae Content, right? Content? I don't know.
I don't know. You have the names in front of you.
You're right. Allie Cannon, Remote Sessions, Jessica, Nora Vickery, Norel Page, Angela Shaw, Cordell McNabb. I hope that, God damn it, I want it to be.
That's Cordell Stewart and Donovan McNabb's love child.
I want it to be so bad. Related to one of them.
Yeah.
Lucas Biggs, Jonathan Couch. No, yes, it is.
Yes.
No, it's Jay Nathan. Jay Nathan Couch?
Or
is
Jay
it Jonathan?
Nathan Couch. Ooh. Either way.
Fuck, did I skip an O?
What a turn on.
Brianna Pink Pampina, Araya Griffin, Devin, Regnikoff.
Yes.
Yes. And then Casey Catalan. Thank you guys.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you guys so much.
Truly,
guys. You make. I wish you guys knew the behind the scenes.
It's really
honestly, you guys make this a thing and you make this possible, and especially this show.
Yeah.
Because this show does not really reap us any rewards besides you guys like it.
Right.
And you guys donate money to us and you like the show, and we don't want to not do it because you guys would be upset.
And we started it this way, and we love it.
And the other thing is we like the fucking show,
yeah.
and we love doing the fucking show. But thank you guys so much for making this worth it and being so fucking incredible to us. What if somebody wanted to tell you how incredible you are, Jimmy? How could they do it?
At Wisman Sucks, WHISMAN Sucks on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. And I appreciate it, guys. Thank you very, very much for being around. What about you, you son of a bitch?
I am at Jimmy P is funny, or you can copy and paste my last name from the show description. Just do that and plug it in, and it will be wonderful there. Yeah. And keep coming back. Lots of stuff to announce later on this month. We got a lot of tour dates for Small Town Murder we're going to announce. None for Crime and Sports. Sorry. It's just numbers aren't there. Guys.
Tickets don't sell there.
Tickets don't sell as well. Right. So we have all that going on, and we're excited, and that doesn't matter.
Big fucking announcement, though.
Big announcement there. We have lots of big announcements. We're moving into a new studio.
Yeah.
Next few weeks are going to be crazy. We're going to keep putting out episodes every week. No more skipping. That was just a business thing we had to do. Right. We had to skip that, but we apologize for being off last week. Yeah. But that won't happen again for a while. Live from the Crime and Sports Studios, we will see you next week.
Bye.
If you like crime and sports, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
He was hip-hop's biggest mogul, the man who redefined fame, fortune, and the music industry.
The first male rapper to be honored on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Sean Diddy Combs.
Diddy built an empire and lived a life most people only dream about.
Everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so.
Yeah, that's what's up.
But just as quickly as his empire rose, it came crashing down.
Today I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution.
I was up. I hit rock bottom, but I made no excuses. I'm disgusted. I'm so sorry.
Until you're wearing an orange jumpsuit, it's not real. Now it's real.
From his meteoric rise to his shocking fall from grace, from law and crime, this is the rise and fall of Diddy. Listen to the rise and fall of Diddy exclusively with Wondery Plus.